Hi y'all, good morning on a foggy day on the Tennessee River, man. Look out here this direction. That fog is so thick you can about cut it with a knife. But I'm happy to see it because that means it's going to stay cooler or more comfortable out here longer today. It's going to be a scorching hot day. So the longer this lasts, the better for us, at least comfort-wise. But we're going to try to catch some fish first thing this morning, y'all. We're going after carp and hopefully some buffalo too. Going to be trying some new baits today, at least new combinations of baits that I've never used before. And this is an area where I have busted several buffalo and big buffalo in the past. And so we're going to put this new combination of baits to the test. So I don't want to wasting time here talking right now, y'all. I want to just go ahead and get some baits on and get after it. So let me show you the bait here first, and then we're going to get baited up and cast it out there. So this here is pack bait, and it is a soybean meal in place of the panko that a lot of y'all have seen me use in the past. I tried soybean meal recently based on some recommendations from the comment box, and I caught some fish with it, although not as many as I would like on that particular trip. We're also going to be trying, normally I use strawberry jello. Today we've got some lime flavored jello, because again, I've heard that is good for the buffalo. Check this out though. In this bag here, here's what we're going to throw on the hook of a few of these things. I got some cherry tomatoes from my garden. Now, I used cherry tomatoes with good success a couple months ago, but I had some green ones. I didn't use them that were fully ripe. I thought they'd stay on the hook better green. Today we're going to use some red ones. I thought the red, in addition to just being ripe, they might stand out in color a little more. And then we've got some trusty worms here, the old night crawlers. Those have been real successful for us lately. So I'm going to go ahead and get us baited up. We're going to start casting out. We're going to fish 3 rods. I'll try to show you this creek here a little bit. Once the fog burns off, I can pan the camera around, but you ain't gonna be able to see nothing right now because it's so dang foggy, folks. It's just one of them things. We had some rain come through yesterday evening, and boy, the fog today is thick. So I'm trying my best to pack this soybean meal. It's my second time using this stuff, and so it's still a work in progress as far as getting the mixture appropriate. And so this one here is still a little bit drier than what I would like. We may have trouble casting this. We may sling it plumb off the hook. But I've got our pack bait on there. I'm going to take one of these cherry tomatoes, and I'm just going to put it on that hook right there. Now we've got some fake corn, plastic corn on a hair rig there under it. So hopefully if the tomato, if it gets knocked off, maybe it falls off when I cast, you know, when it hits the water and pops it off, we'll still have at least some bait to attract the fish to the hook. But that right there, folks, is what is about to get at least attempted to be cast out. We'll see how well it casts. I may fling most of it off the dang. Oh, it went pretty well, didn't it? It feels dry, but it's a work in progress, man. Just when you try something new, I know the internet comment box, people, every time I try something new and it don't go well, the internet's like, well, I told you so. That wouldn't happen to me. You know, their doo-doo's never stunk before. They know everything. But me, when I try something new, sometimes it takes a few attempts anyway to kind of get things dialed in and figure out what you need to do. And that's kind of how it's been with this soybean meal. I knew with the panko how many cans of corn and how many cans of panko would make a good mixture, the way I could pack it on and not fling it off the feeder on the cast. But second attempt here with the soybean meal, I'm still getting some things figured out. And here I've got 2 cans of corn, a can of sweet corn and a can of cream style corn. And once again, I think I have put too much soybean meal in this bag for those 2 cans of corn. I think I should have used less. But again, we'll get it dialed in. It's a matter of time, folks. Now this one here, we're gonna try a night crawler on. Now I'll show you, before we bait up our third rod, we're gonna fish with 3 rods this morning. If you remind me, I'll show you, if you're new to my channel, I'll show you my rig, the method feeder and whatnot, how we're doing this before we cast it out or before we bait it up. All right, so there's that one. Pack bait, night crawler, fake corn, going out. I'm just fan casting these rods here. Going to try to put some space between them. That water we're casting into is probably 3 or 4 foot deep, give or take. So fishing shallow, way back in the creek. I'm on a weekend filming this video, so I don't want to be pestered by boaters. And I know, I don't want to say I know to be 100% certain, but I feel like I know we ain't gonna see nobody back here today. So, again, if you're new to my channel, and you're new to my carp videos, let me just show you this rig here. I've got 30-pound test braided line for my main line, down to a swivel. This is a method feeder from Amazon. They're real cheap. They're just a coil along the middle and some wire around it that you can kind of squeeze that pack bait into and kind of help hold it in place better for when you cast it. And it's got a tube down the middle of it. It just slides up and down. So I put a piece of 50-pound braid right there in between 2 swivels. That way, when this contraption lands in the water, your pack bait is falling off that feeder and creating a little chum pile very close to your hook. And for the hook, we've got a number 6 size. That's a ESP brand hook that's on a hair rig. And this one here has got a couple pieces of pink corn. The other 2 are yellow. This one here is pink. But I'm gonna pack the pack bait around this. Again, when it hits, you'll have a little chum pile, and then them carp get attracted to the chum or the pack bait. They come in there, they're eating them soybean meal crumbs, they're eating the corn in it, and while they're sucking all that stuff up, they suck up your hook bait or your hair rig bait, and then they get that hook. So we'll put this one on. I think I may go ahead and put on another cherry tomato, folks. I'm just feeling cherry tomato-ish today. Lord knows I got enough of them in my garden right now. My garden is as small a garden as I've got. It's still more than what I can eat. It's really putting out. We went for a spell for about 3 weeks or so. It didn't rain at all here in East Tennessee. Everything was dry. I was having to water that garden every day. My yard was brown. I mean, it was completely dead. And now, for about the last 2 or 3 weeks, it won't quit raining. We've had rain damn near every day. That's a bigger tomato. I'm gonna put it on. The biggest cherry tomatoes I got, I think we're probably gonna maybe cut in half. We put them on there just because they're so big. Let's send this one out. This one here, we're gonna try to maybe cast to the right over here a little bit. That soybean meal, it's casting. I'm not flinging it off the feeder there on the cast, so that's a good sign. All right, folks, we've got all 3 baits out now. I'm gonna just tighten up these lines a little bit here on these 2, now that everything's settled and we're not moving around in the kayak as much. You know, that soybean meal off my hands. This stuff is, one thing I immediately don't like about the soybean meal. Now, I touched on this the last carp trip where I used it. It sticks to your hands. Like, it's kind of a messy mixture, but I've had numerous people comment and tell me that that is kind of what you want to use for buffalo. They apparently like it. Some people have said they like it kind of soured. I don't know what that means. I guess you mix it up and leave it for a few days. Look right here, we got something on this middle rod already. My line, we got something. This was the night crawler rig. I wonder if it ain't a channel cat. It doesn't feel very big, so I'm gonna assume it's a channel cat. Or possibly some kind of bluegill or sunfish or something. Probably a channel cat though. Channel cat. Don't you throw that worm off that hook either, channel cat. He just did. He threw it off right there. Did you see it? I thought we'd get him in quick. This dang fish, he threw that worm off and he said, I'll show you, Justin. I'll go and eat that worm as soon as you let me go. He's optimistic I'm gonna let him go. This right here would be if a man wanted to catch catfish with catfish, this would be an ideal size to get him. Big blue cat, big flathead, gobble him right up. If he'd open his mouth, we'd done have him free. There we go. Tiny old channel cat. Get on out of here, you thing. Oh, I'm done with you channel cats already. We're 5 minutes into this trip. I'm already over the channel cats. We don't want to be seeing them today. Y'all, we're going to do an unedited trip today, raw and uncut, because I'm probably going to fish maybe 3 to 4 hours this morning. It's going to be a relatively short trip for me today. I've got some stuff to do this afternoon, and it's going to be, like I said, miserable hot. It's comfortable right now, but once the fog burns off and the sun gets out, God help us all. It's going to be bad. But yeah, we're going to give this soybean meal a chance. I've got 50 pounds of it that I bought, and so we're stuck with it for a while. The lime jello will be a work in progress today, as I got my tomato stem all around my hook. Get rid of that. That was just another thing that had popped up in my comment box a while back. People saying that lime was the way to go. People have recommended pineapple in place of the corn. The thing about carp fishing, everybody has got their own favorite bait, favorite concoction that they claim just works every time they go out. And you know what I've kind of figured out about carp fishing? Is that it don't really seem to matter what kind of pack bait you use. As long as there's some fish there, you're probably going to catch them. If you've got fish in the area that you're throwing baits into and you're giving them something that they'll eat, some kind of grain of some sort, and some kind of corn or bean or fruit, you're going to get them. They're going to eat. So I'm kind of getting to the point where, well, I just threw half that pack bait off, but it landed close to each other. They hit within about a foot of each other. So hopefully there was a fish right between them two chum piles, and we'll get them. Dadgummit. But when it comes to doing this stuff, man, I'm about to the point where it's like, if you got something that you like and it's working for you, and it's cheap and easy to mix up, use it. And for me, that's kind of been the panko, because it's readily available any grocery store, Walmart. Hell, the Dollar Tree around here locally's got it for $1.25 a can. Corn, obviously, readily available. And when you mix it up, it packs on good. It doesn't make a huge mess. I read some of these mixtures where people are using, they'll mix up some kind of oats or wheat or something, and then they'll pour cherry Coke in there or some grape soda or something. And I'm like, who the hell wants to be packing that kind of pack bait with your hands that's been mixed in some kind of soda? I mean, your hands are going to be sticky as hell all damn day. I don't want to fool with that. I want something. Really, I mean, I guess if you were in an area where you were only catching one carp every few hours, it wouldn't be a big deal. But I don't want to have sticky hands all day, you know what I mean? So once we go through the soybean meal, if it's not really working well for us, and jury's out, time will tell. This is only the second time using it, so we'll see. But my initial impressions of it is it's, for this amount of breadcrumbs in this bag, 2 cans of corn would be plenty enough. 2 cans of corn is not enough in this mixture. It's still too dry. So we'll get it dialed in, but I may end up using the panko and a little bit of soybean meal, mixing them together possibly just to get through that 50 pounds that I bought. But we'll get it dialed in. But we're going to catch some fish out here today. I'm pretty confident in that. This creek is just, I don't know why this creek produces so many carp and buffalo, but it does. I don't know what's special about it versus some of the others that I have fished, but there does seem to be more fish in here every time that I've been here than some of the others. So I'm pretty confident we're going to get on some fish today. Now it does, and I've mentioned this in other carp videos, especially these unedited ones, sometimes it takes a while to get the fish going because, again, I don't know how well you can see down through here right now. The fog's starting to lift a little bit. I come from this direction. And when you come in, you are spooking them. I mean, you're running in water that's 3-4 foot here at the deepest with that motor, and you're spooking them fish that are out there. Like you're going to scatter when you come up on them with that motor. And so, if those fish were, let's say they were already out here feeding in this area, and I spook them, well, it's going to take a little while to get them to come back. Now, the good thing is they typically do come back, or you get other fish that are working in and out. But sometimes it'll take an hour or so to get that first bite. Now, obviously, we got that channel cat here, but who cares? It's a tiny, tiny channel cat, and I could care less if I ever caught another channel cat that size the rest of my life. You know what I mean? But hopefully, within an hour here or so, we'll have these fish working through, and then it'll just be consistent action. I'd like to leave them biting today. You know, honestly, I'd like to have a day where we get some big fish and numbers of fish. I'm really wanting to catch some numbers of fish today. I want to have some fun out here. Fortunately for you, I got plenty of stories for us to tell in the meantime. These unedited videos, hell, it's like you and me going fishing together. And if we was fishing together, you'd be hearing about everything going on in life just because, well, that's what you'd be subjected to if we was on the water together. So I've got some stories to tell, random life stuff pops into my head. You know, we just cover it all together. But catching fish, folks, that's the most important thing today. That's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to catch them before that sun comes up. As far as this creek goes, and when I fished here in the past, I've kind of talked about this, but it runs, it's a big wide open area here, back to 200-300 yards back that way. Now it gets progressively shallower as you go back, and then it turns into like just a really small, tight creek back there. And did something get hit? It's that rod, that right rod. A little tap or something. I thought, maybe I imagined it. But anyway, the creek comes out, it's real wide, real shallow, gradually gets deeper up this way. And then it dumps out to the main river channel out there 20 some odd feet out there at the mouth of it. But I've set up back here because it is deep enough back here, 3-4 foot-ish right now at this water level, that I can get back in here and still be able to function with that motor. But we're far enough away from the mouth of this creek that we shouldn't have any boat traffic, bass boaters, all those people. And there's some trees right here behind us. The sun comes up that way, even though we ain't gonna see a sunrise today, and gives us a little bit of shade for longer in the morning. So I'm all about that shade on these hot summer days and hot summer mornings. So anyway, y'all, I'm gonna put y'all in the chest. Y'all gonna sit back and with me and watch these rods go down as they do go down. And we're gonna sit here and go fishing together today. And I hope today that it don't take 30 minutes to an hour to get these fish going. I didn't see fish in here coming in, but you couldn't really see much of nothing with the fog the way it was. It's actually better back here than it was on the main channel. It was really thick in the main channel. And normally, I slept in a little bit this morning because I knew it was going to be foggy today, but it was still foggier than what I would have liked leaving the boat ramp. But fortunately, there was one boat in the water when I left, and a couple other guys there at the ramp putting in about the same time I was. One of them had a kid. He recognized me. He said he puts my video. There was a carp right out there. I saw him. I don't know why I'm whispering, but I saw him. He's out there in that front of that front right, or that right rod right there. He just come up the surface. That kid said he puts my videos on and goes to sleep watching me every night. I thought, now I got to watch my stories that I tell in these videos, because I might be telling children's bedtime stories out here, y'all. So maybe I need to save the R-rated stories till later in the video. That way them kids are good and asleep by the time it comes on. You know, I mean, it's like back in the day when, if you had HBO or Cinemax, the soft core nudity wouldn't come on till after 10 p.m. after the children were asleep, you know what I mean? But anyway, that kid, he was a real nice kid. He was out there. He was bright-eyed. He was more awake than I was, that's for sure. But him and his grandpa was going fishing today. They were going to try catching some bass, so hopefully they get on some. I just hope all the bass fishermen stay out there. Leave us the heck alone. Unfortunately, this far back in the creek, I rarely ever see anybody. I've never had anybody like come all the way back here and be crossing lines and stuff like that. Some of the creeks I fish, I kind of worry about that because of just how tight the areas are. Like if somebody did come back here, as long as they're not being a jerk, they could at least go to the other side of the channel, the creek channel over there, and go around us. But some of the creeks I fish are so tight, they're so narrow that if somebody did come through, we'd just have to reel everything up. And if it's a bass fisherman, you know how they are. They fish a spot 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, and then they're coming back again. So we'd be doing it again on their way out. But I don't think we're going to see nobody today. I'm filming this on the weekend, and tomorrow I'm going to make a bait run. I don't know that I'll film it. I just filmed a bait run here recently. But I'm going to try to get us some skipjack and some white bass, and then we'll get back after the cats. I'd say catfish probably the next video. I don't know that I'll film the next bait run. I kind of want a little off-camera fishing time too. Just get out there and troll around, catch some bait, listen to some Jim Cornette podcasts, listen to him tell some old wrestling stories, and talk crap about AEW, which is unwatchable. Not that WWE is any better anymore. No wrestling's watchable in 2024, but old Jim Cornette tells the stories of the old days when wrestling was watchable. His mind, I don't know how he does, and for those of you that may not have been wrestling fans in the 80s, Jim Cornette was a manager, a tag team manager of the Midnight Express and a few other wrestlers through the years, but most notably Midnight Express back in the day. But he also done a lot of jobs behind the scenes in wrestling, so he's got amazing stories. But what's most impressive about this guy, and I don't know how old Jim Cornette is now, he's probably, I imagine, 60s. There was another carp right out there in the middle. There are some fish here, folks, It is a matter of time. That's 2 we've seen, or maybe the same fish twice, but they are right there in front of our baits. It's going to be on here in a few minutes. I don't know how old Jim Cornette is. I would assume probably in his 60s, maybe 70, I don't know. His memory, though, his ability to recall not only the events, but the dates. I mean, he'll say, November 1987, we were at Starcade pay-per-view and such match, and like, he can give you the whole, and who knows, maybe he's making stuff up, but he says it with such confidence, you can't help but believe it. You know, that's the secret to getting people to believe anything, is just say it with confidence. But I believe it, and he's a good storyteller, and I like listening to him as I troll around trying to catch me some bait. So I may do that tomorrow and get out there and catch some skipjack. I wish I had a memory like that. I can barely remember yesterday. Like, there's been times on these unedited videos where I'm telling a story and a rod goes down, and by the time I get the fish reeled in and released, I've done forgot what I was saying before the fish hit. 2 minutes before. I can't remember that. And Jim Cornette's pulling out stuff from 40 years ago. The exact date. I don't know how the hell he does it. He must be on the ginkgo biloba like twice a day or something, because it's amazing. But if you like old wrestling, and Jim Cornette, he certainly ain't buying advertisement on my channel here. I enjoy it. I enjoy his stories. I grew up in the 80s, and Jim Cornette was a staple on my TV set back then, because in those days, my great-grandmother used to babysit me, and she was a huge wrestling fan. Every time it come on, she had no idea that it was, wrestlers don't like to call it fake. She had no idea that it was pre-planned, choreographed type thing, outcomes predetermined. You know what I'm trying to say. My great-grandmother had no idea. And she went to her grave thinking wrestling was real. You couldn't tell her otherwise. She would be ready to wrestle somebody. She would be argumentative about it anytime somebody would try to tell her that it wasn't real. And she was passionate about it. I mean, passionate. She would yell at that TV set. The only time I ever heard her say cuss, and this is where I learned cuss words at, was when we watched wrestling. It was the only time she cussed, but she would cuss out Ric Flair. She would cuss out Jim Cornette. She would give it to him on that TV set like it's like me watching Tennessee football now. Like, I'm yelling at the referees and everything. Like, she was yelling at that TV set, top of her lungs. And it was on TV every time it come on, we watched. And back in the 80s, wrestling was on TV more. Like, I remember, I think it was 4 o'clock every day, we would get like a NWA, or maybe it's AWA. I think it was NWA. Either way, it'd be like an hour-long program, and it would come on every day, and we'd turn over, and I'd have to turn cartoons off and watch it. And then on Saturday mornings, or no, it was Saturday night on TBS, it would come on at like 7:05, and then Sunday mornings, there'd be another show. And the wrestling matches back then, most of the matches wasn't any good. Like, you'd have a big name star, you'd have, you know, pick a star, Sting, Dusty Rhodes or somebody, and they'd be in a squash match where they're wrestling what they'd call a jobber, some guy you'd never heard of, never been seen again. And the match would be, he'd cut a promo, and the match would last 2 minutes, and that would be it. Until you got to the main event, and then you might have 2 wrestlers that you liked, and they would have a match. But it was at least watchable back in the day. This crap they put on TV now, it's all acrobatic stuff. And you watch them do these moves and you're like, well, that person should be dead, and then they hop right back up. It's just unrealistic. At least back in the day, I mean, they fooled all the old women back in the days, but they fooled them because it looked real. People wasn't doing all this acrobatic stuff. But you can't go back in time. You can't, I don't think you, even, because Jim Cornette's always going on about that, like what garbage today's programming is, and it is garbage. But I don't think you could go back to the way it was in the 80s and get people to watch. I don't think people's attention spans could last. If you had a, back in the day, you know, if Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat was having an Iron Man match, a 60-minute match, and it ends in a draw, I don't think that would fly today. I don't think you could do one match for an hour and get people to, you might could do it, but I don't know if people are going to watch. Of course, I say that, and y'all hear the hell I am. I'm putting out 3 and 4 hour long videos, and you look at my average watch time, buddy, people's watching it. They're watching the whole shebang. They might break it up over a couple days, but it gets watched. My percentage of watch time, like how much percentage of the video is watched, it's higher on the 4 hour videos than it is on like the 15-minute videos. It's crazy. So I may be underestimating people's attention span when it comes to longer wrestling matches. But I just don't find it entertaining anymore. I watched all from my childhood in the 80s all the way up through the late 90s when Stone Cold, D-Generation X, The Rock, all them people were kind of at their peak. And something happened in the early 2000s. I think it was when you had 2 major events happen. You had WCW went out of business. Vince McMahon bought them. That was problem number 1 because now there was no more competition. It was one show, WWE, that was all you had to watch. The other thing that happened was Linda McMahon, who was Vince McMahon, the owner of WWE's wife, the owner of WWE, his wife, Linda McMahon. She decided to run for Congress or Senate or something. She ran for some big political office up there where they're from. And they decided because she was running for office, they needed to change the show to a more family-friendly type show because it was what they call the Attitude Era. They were showing everything. And it was very entertaining. But they went from that to very, almost overnight, PG, G-rated most of the time, and it was just unwatchable. You know, maybe if they had led up to that and kept it PG all along, you might have could have stuck with it. But once you went real edgy and then tried to go back, you just couldn't. And so I quit. Well, I kept up with it a little bit. I still keep up with it some, mainly through Jim Cornette's podcast. But I'm not that into it anymore. When I watch wrestling, I pull up YouTube videos of old wrestling matches. Old Nature Boy Ric Flair compilation videos where he's cutting promos, stuff like that. I don't watch the new stuff. The women on there, I will say this though, as far as wrestling goes. The women wrestlers today are way better. You know, when I was a kid, you didn't see women wrestling. There might be a fabulous Moolah sighting or something. Oh, left rod. Something tugged on us over there. Got my heart rate up a second. He gave us a tug. Gave us a tug, but not the rub. He's at least by that bait over there, though. But the women wrestlers when I was a kid, there might be on like a specialty show of some kind, you might see a woman's match, but it wasn't ever any good. And then up through the 90s, you would have, they started doing more women's wrestling. But the matches were terrible, and they weren't very good. The women all looked amazing, but the matches themselves wasn't any good. There was another big splash right out there in front of our baits. We've got fish in this area, y'all. It's coming. It's a matter of time, as long as our lime jello ain't spooking them off. We know they like strawberry. We don't know about the lime. But nowadays, with the women wrestlers, they're not only hot as hell, but they're also talented wrestlers. Like, they can carry a match. So the women's wrestling has definitely improved. But the men's wrestling, it's just all acrobatic crap. It's just unrealistic. And so, it ain't for me anymore. Thankfully, I think when it comes to TV shows, there wasn't much to watch the last couple of years. TV, movies, nothing. But I think that was because you had COVID, that knocked out Hollywood for a while. And then you had that writer's strike, or actor's strike, or both. Hell, I can't remember. Somebody was on strike up there in Hollywood for a long time. But now the world got back to normal. And you're starting to see more movies, more TV shows. I actually went to the movies last night. I watched that movie called Trap. And I'd been looking forward to it. It was an M. Night Shyamalan movie. And I won't do no spoilers or anything, in case you ain't watched. But M. Night Shyamalan movies, historically, they're a great movie until the end. And then there's some twist, and it gets completely stupid. That's historically been M. Night Shyamalan movies. So, fish. We got him. Oh, he popped off. I felt him pop free. I'm gonna go ahead and rebait. That was our tomato rig. Well, doo-doo, y'all. That rod got hit twice. Hit twice and hooked up zero. Dadgummit. Oh, it's fine though. We'll just put some more on. We've got plenty of this soybean meal. We're not going to run out of this today, that's for sure. This will be, I'll take whatever we got left. I'll take it with me. I don't know that I'll carp fish anymore this coming week. But if it survives a week, it may be good and sour, as some people claim it needs to be to catch some buffaloes. So we'll see. There's tomatoes there. Where's the rest of them tomatoes at? They're down in that mess somewhere here. You know what I'm gonna do? That tomato there, it's so big. Let's cut that thing in half, would we? Let's just cut it. That way I'll feel better about it. Because that thing's so, I mean, that's... And that other tomato was kind of big too. That may be why the carp... That may be why it didn't hook up very good over there, because of the size of that tomato, potentially. That's what I'm going to blame it on anyway. I'd like to blame y'all, but you didn't do anything wrong. At least not yet. I'm sure you will before the trip's over out here. Yous always do. Okay, let's try this. So I've got my line wrapped around everything. Okay. We got our tomato. We've got our fake corn on there. Maybe that tomato being cut too, maybe that'll, the juices in there. I certainly like me some cherry tomato. And there goes most of the pack bait off. That soybean meal is incredibly frustrating. Incredibly frustrating to pack on there. It's just such a dry mixture. I watched a video there of Josh with catfish tips, trips, techniques. He's got too many words in his channel name for me to remember them all. And I saw him mixing up some soybean meal, and he was using some eggs with them. He put like a dozen eggs in there in his mixture. And again, first off, you add a dozen eggs to your carp bait. Hell, eggs are expensive these days. They're like $5 a dozen. And then you're going to have egg all over your hand when you're done packing your pack bait on and stuff. I'm like, you know, again, if you can catch carp with a less messy setup that's easier and cheaper to make, why do all this other crap? So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm getting frustrated with this soybean meal casting off. We started out okay, but now the last 2 times we're throwing out there, hell, we've thrown most of it off. I'm gonna leave that be though for now. We still got that tomato on there and part of that pack bait. Daggone. But yeah, we went and seen that movie Trap, and I thought the storyline was pretty. Again, I ain't gonna give you no spoilers because I know it just come out and a lot of you ain't seen it yet. But the basic premise of the movie is there is a serial killer, and he takes his daughter to a concert. It's like they call her Lady Raven. I guess it's kind of like a Lady Gaga type thing, or a Taylor Swift, you know, some rock star that all the little girls want to go see. And she's putting on a show, and the FBI surrounds the entire arena there. And they're checking every man that fits the profile of the serial killer. And so he is kind of trapped in that stadium with his daughter at the concert, and he has to find a way out. That's the basic premise of the movie. And it was pretty good overall. You know, and it's one of them things, ticket prices are so high these days, I would have been fine waiting to see it when it come out on Netflix or Amazon or wherever it comes out, you know. Middle rod, got a little tug. But good movie nonetheless. It's not, the movie, I saw Twister recently. It was excellent. Like, that's the kind of movie you want to go see at a theater with a huge screen and the sound and all that. Like, that's the kind of movie you want to see. This movie Trap, like, it would be fine. It's worth seeing, but you want to watch it at home on the comfort of your couch, that's the way to go. So, but the good thing is, at least now that COVID's behind us and the Hollywood strike is behind us, we're at least getting some more TV shows and some more movies coming out and some options, because, you know, thankfully we're coming up on football season here and there'll actually be something on TV again. But boy, outside of football season, there ain't nothing on TV, man. There ain't nothing to watch. At least for the last couple years anyway. But now everything's coming back on. They just released the new season of The Boys there recently. I done watched it all. And Cobra Kai, they've put out the first half of the final season. It's an excellent show. It's probably the best Netflix show. They hit just enough nostalgia mixed with the modern day storyline. Like it's a really good show. Something about the 80s. I guess because I grew up in the 80s, but if there's anything, any throwback to the 80s, I'm hooked. Right off the, I mean, I'm on the line, you just got to reel me in. Just don't botch it and you've got me. You know, I'm just realizing this. I'm out here just flapping my gums. I think we got people camping right over here beside us. Is that a tent over there? It's on the water. Is it like on a dock or something? You all know I don't like talking around people. Are they camping right there? Is that what they're doing? I don't see any people, but it looks like a tent. Y'all may not be the first ones to see this video. Them people over there may be getting a live show right now. If they are, I reckon that'd be all right. I get weird about that though. I've talked about that before. People come up on me or fishing around me. I don't like talking on video. I'm weird about it. I'll get through it one of these days, I reckon. Hopefully about the time that one of these fish actually bites here. It should be. Where are we at on this now? 440 something minutes in. It should be about time, folks, between the time of the video here that we've been filming. Right there was one that come up right in front of us. And that right there, that's the other factor, that we're actually seeing them coming up and rolling on the surface. I think what happens is, and I don't know about this soybean meal, but like for instance, when you throw out the breadcrumbs, the pack bait with breadcrumbs, when it hits the water, some of it comes off and will float on the surface. And so you'll see fish come up. There was another one right over yonder. I think they come up, eat them crumbs off the surface. And I think that's oftentimes why you see fish coming up and rolling on the water right there in front of where you've cast out. I mean, you'll see them sometimes off away from you where you've casted, but like we've seen numerous fish right here in front of us, whereas we haven't necessarily to the left and right. So that tells me that there's probably some of them crumbs floating up there and they're coming up and eating them. That is one thing I want to try at some point here soon too, is to use a like bobber rig with some bait like up in the water column. The pack bait will obviously fall off, but you could put whatever you wanted to on a hook under a bobber. And I've caught a bunch of carp doing that, like back when I was ultralight fishing with just live baits. Fishing under a bobber off a dock for bluegill, using worms or little bread dough balls I would oftentimes use for bluegill. You would catch carp frequently just under a bobber like that. One of the things I used to do when I was younger is I would go to the park. This is back before I had a boat or kayak or anything. I was young, and people would feed the ducks at the park. They would feed them bread. It used to be a thing when I was a kid. You stop and get a loaf of bread, and your mom would take you over there, and you'd feed the ducks when you was young. Nowadays, they say feeding ducks to bread, or feeding bread to ducks. Yeah, don't feed ducks to ducks. But feeding bread to ducks, they say it's bad. And instead, they put up these feeders. They want to get some money out of you and get you to spend $1 to get a handful of feed to feed the ducks, when you could have just bought a loaf of bread for $1 and fed them all day. But anyway, whether that's true or not, who knows? I'm sure people will gladly educate me in the comment box, as they always do. But back in those days, you would have people over there feeding the ducks bread. And when they'd throw that bread on the water, sure, the ducks would be there, but you'd see bluegill coming up eating it too. So I would get me some bread, and I'd take the white part of bread, not the crust, but like the actual bread part, and make just tiny little dough balls and stick them on like a number 6, number 8 cricket hook. Drop them down under a bobber and you catch a bluegill like that. But you'd also occasionally catch some carp too. And so I'm going to, at some point, we're going to try that out here, carp fishing. We're going to do some bobber fishing, I think. And it may, when you get fish coming up and rolling on the surface like that, that may be the ticket. Yeah, I saw another one right over there to the left just then. They are right there around our baits. You know, it's hard when you're trying something new. And maybe today wouldn't have been the best day to try the lime flavor, because we know the strawberry, we know they like that. We've caught a lot of fish on strawberry. You know, you don't know, like, let's say we don't have a particularly good day, which if you're seeing this, we did, okay? Like, if you're seeing this video, the fish they turned on. They started to bite here at some point. You're not going to see a video 3-4 hours long with one stinking channel cat, okay? But let's say we didn't have a good day today, and we tried the soybean meal and we tried the lime jello flavoring. If we didn't do any good, if you're trying 2 things, how do you know which one didn't work? Was it one? Was it the combination? Don't know. I made a mistake on that. I should have used strawberry today. We should have established that the soybean meal was going to work effectively before making changes. That's what we should have done. Now, if we end up catching a bunch of fish today, well, then hell, we know. But right now, all I've got is people on the interwebs word, and I ain't calling none of yous in the comment box a liar, okay? I don't take it that way. I'm not. But the problem with getting fishing advice from random strangers on the interweb, and this ain't just with YouTube comment box, this is all social media. You see this on Facebook groups. Back before that, back in the days of the internet forums, the fishing forums, you would see it there. You have a bunch of people giving quote-unquote expert advice. They're saying something with confidence. This works. This is what we do to catch fish. This is the method you need to do to be successful. You have people saying that aren't any good at fishing. They might think they are. At least in the forum days, you had nothing to go by, just their word. At least now, if you're on a platform like Facebook or Instagram and somebody's saying, well, you need to do this, this is what we do all the time, and then you click on their profile and you see their fish pictures, and they've got a 10-pounder, their biggest fish or biggest catfish or something, and they're on there telling you got to use chicken livers. It's like, okay, you're maybe not as expert. You're not the expert witness they're going to call at trial, obviously, you know, but when you're reading something and they're saying it with confidence and providing what looks to be logic behind their case, you can get a lot of bad information. And I don't claim to be an expert carp fisherman. I'm probably one of the worst carp fishermen on YouTube, if you get right down to it. But I get a lot of advice there in the comment box, and people claim they're better than me. And I don't necessarily have a reason not to believe them other than just my skepticism of the social media platforms as a whole. But I've had numerous people tell me about the soybean meal, and thus far I'm not convinced. I caught fish there on the last trip, although it was difficult to pack. But did we catch fish because of the soybean meal, or did we catch fish despite the soybean meal? It was one of my, I won't say it's the worst. I mean, I've had some skunk trips carp fishing early on in the spring, but it wasn't one of my better trips. And this morning right now isn't going particularly well because we got fish. I've seen them numerous times come up out there, and we got one channel cat and one good bite. So I may be stuck with 47 pounds of soybean meal. I had to buy a big bag of it. It was $30 for the 50-pound bag, but then I paid another $30-something in shipping. But if you bought a smaller bag of soybean meal, you were paying damn near as much. So I was like, if this stuff is the bee's knees like people claim it is, well, I'm going to want more of it anyway. So I might as well just pay a few bucks more, get the 50-pound bag. But you got to have a way. We've got to figure out how to get this stuff to pack better. You can't be flinging it off the hook every time, or the feeders all the time. Let's throw a little over here and see if this stuff floats. It's sinking, but there's still some up on the surface. I guess that's what those carp are over there coming up and getting. It's interesting. It sure sticks to your hands, that's for sure. I don't know, folks. That's one of them things. I've got a lot of confidence. That first pack bait I tried was the panko. And I'd got that from Catfish and Carp YouTube channel. And he's tried a variety of baits on there, on his channel, which he don't post videos to that anymore. He posts on the Outdoor Boys. He made a second channel that grew even bigger than his first. And so he mostly does like adventure type stuff with his kids in Alaska now. But he's got a lot of old videos on his Catfish and Carp channel that are very educational and very helpful. And I had tried out that panko mixture first because it was just easy to make, readily available, convenient, cheap. And I've had so much success with it that it's hard to get away from it. You know, it's like when you're catching enough fish to make you happy and have fun and all that, it's like, do you really want to mix things up? But it is good to mix some things up. I mean, throwing these worms on the hook has got us a lot of extra fish. A lot of buffalo. Oh, left rod here. Our line, something hit our line. It went slack. That's our half a tomato. It's slack over there right now. Let's see if he's got it potentially. He either hit it and knocked slack in it, or he's hit it and he's got it, and he's maybe come toward us a little bit. Let me get my shades on here right fast, y'all. It's getting a little bright. I want to see if I can put my shades on. Maybe I can see. My glasses are all smudged up. Y'all could have cleaned my glasses for me. You putting your fingerprints on there. You trying to sabotage me here. We'll just pick up, see if we feel weight on this thing. No, I don't feel nothing. Something hit it though, hit it hard enough, knock slack in it. There may be a fish over there kind of rooting around in that pack bait in the chum pile, and maybe he hit the line with his tail or something. I keep hearing something behind me over here. I'm seeing a deer or something. It sounded like footsteps. These fish better come on though, man. It's been an hour, it's time. I'm ready to catch one, buddy. Fog's lifting, it's gonna get hot here real quick with that fog burning off. I wonder if we shouldn't. Well, I was thinking maybe we should put some worms on the, oh, right here. This could be it. Tugged on it a couple times. I wonder if we shouldn't put a extra worm out. Just because I've had so much success with the worms lately. I'm gonna tighten that line up there. Something tugged on it. Gave it a little tug, but that's it. The tomatoes may be a little too big. When I was using the green ones recently, they were small because they were, you know, hadn't ripened yet. These ones I got today are they're ripe, but they're kind of big. The green ones, they were tougher material because they weren't ripe, so I felt like they stayed on the hook a little better. These, we're not gonna know if they're on the hook or not, especially after a rod gets hit, like that one there, it got tugged on, you know. Does that mean that they pulled that tomato off? Still got the plastic corn, but we don't know if that tomato's on there or not. It's probably time to rebait anyway. Let's just go ahead and check it, and I'm impatient. I know, and I've been through this so many times where it takes a while to get that first bite, but I want that first bite now. Yeah, that tomato's gone, along with everything on the feeder. I think what I'm gonna do is put that other half of the cherry tomato on this one when we reel in that other one there on the far left. We'll put another worm on it. We'll go 2 worms and 1 tomato, at least for a little while here. Oh, middle one. Hold on, that worm got eat on the middle one. That fish said he's seen an opportunity. He saw I had my hands full. On the worm. Yeah, we definitely gonna go 2 worms now. 2 worms, 1 tomato for a little while here and see what that does. The good thing, this fish run to the right, and since the rod on the right was reeled in, we don't have to worry about him tangling us up. Silver lining, people. That's me always being positive. Positive Polly. Always better than negative Nelly. Although negative Nelly gets it right more often, I feel like. This feels like this fish has got some weight to it, but the way it's fighting makes me wonder what it is. Could this be our buffalo? Normally carp are going to surge a few more times. No, it is a carp. It's a good one. It's a good carp. I'll tell you what, let's do with him. I'm going to give him a little slack. Hopefully he'll run that way. Let's go ahead and cast this one out. Try to, just try to be efficient here. I'm trying to squeeze that on there best I can. This stuff's just so difficult to pack. Well, now he wants to run, don't he? Where'd that other half of the tomato go? Well, heck, okay, there it is. Yeah, we'll throw this out before we land the other one. Try to be as efficient as possible. Yeah, that one there held on the hook a little better. Okay. Okay, people, let's finally, after an hour-long, brutal wait, if you ask me, let's get a hold of our first carp of the morning. We'll grab the net since y'all ain't gonna do it. I can't get you. It don't matter if I'm catfishing or carp fishing. Y'all won't lift a finger for me. This is a good one. I'll give him a little front camera time. No, I ain't gonna give it to him just yet, apparently. Missed him. Golly bum. Y'all net this fish for me. Hellfire, do something for me today, would you? Get that rod out the way. Yeah, this right here, buddy. I knew, I could tell he was a nice fish pulling on him, but he didn't start fighting until we was about ready to land him. Nice. Nice, y'all. That is a good fish. Yes, sir. Let me fix my poles here a second. Rocking side to side, my poles are coming loose. Oh, buddy, yes. This one, worth the wait. Although, I'm tired of waiting on you, carp. It's time now. It's time for y'all to start biting. Y'all want to hold up this camera? Y'all got water all over you. Let me get that off there. Let me see if I can get you spun around here. Maybe you can take a picture of me and this fish since we waited so dang long for him. Why is the camera crooked? There we go. Beautiful. Okay. Come here, carp. Okay. Nice, y'all. Nice. That's a pretty good start right there. Took forever, but pretty good start. Oh. He needs to get out of here is what he needs to do. Come on. You're gonna hurt me and yourself there, carp, and maybe knock that camera off of me. The geese are happy for me too. They're serenading me here as they fly by, congratulating me and all. Thankfully, they're turning and heading out of this creek. We don't want to listen to that crap all morning, do we? The only thing worse than not catching fish is having to listen to geese while you don't catch fish. Put our net back here. We're gonna put another worm on this one. We'll reel in the one on the left. I think we'll maybe try a worm on it too. That way we'll have 2 worms and a tomato out. That excites me though, y'all. That excites me. I like seeing them rods go down like that. It's so intense. It's just fun, man. Those initial takedowns, those are just, they just nail it, man. Them carp, they just, and of course you're keeping your drag light. You want to keep your drag light for those initial surges because you don't want them ripping the hook out of their mouth because their mouth's being so fleshy, so soft. And of course that adds to the excitement because they got that just the drag peeling, you know, between their hard runs and the fact that drag's sit kind of loose. Like it's on, man. When they hit, it's on. The way he was fighting though, I kind of thought, man, is this a buffalo? Because I was kind of I could feel he was heavy, but I was kind of pulling him along. Part of the fight. All right, let's cast this one out here. Toward the middle. That one actually stayed on the feeder. Excellent. Maybe that's the secret. Just put less on the feeder and make sure it's really packed on there extra good. Let's go ahead and reel this one in now. We are going to put another worm on this. I'm curious to see if this one will have that tomato on when we get it in, because it had gotten hit and the tomato is gone. Yep, they ripped that tomato right off. Well, fiddlesticks. I got that thing. That thing's all wrapped up too. Y'all have caused a mess here. What's going on here? We've got our hair rig around the main line somehow. It's like a Rubik's Cube. There we go. All right. Well, we'll throw a worm on it and see what happens. A handful of this mess. And stick on here. Yeah, Pinco's is so much easier to work with than this mess. I mean, it feels, at least in my hands anyway, it feels comparably moist. It's one of them words everybody hates hearing, moist. I don't know why it bothers people, but it does. But it feels comparably wet as the panko mixture. It just don't pack as good. Let's see, I think we about out of worms in this tub. I got another tub. This was a partial one there that we had used last time. Yeah, that one's out. It's okay, we got that other one under here. Oh crap, they're dead. That one right there is all molded and stuff. Well, we've caught fish on dead worms before. Thankfully, they hadn't stunk up my fridge. The last time I was fishing with dead worms, I had this smart ass in the comment box. He was like, well, that's why you check them before you buy them. Like, you dumbass, didn't you hear me say in the thing that I had used them? Them dead worms, I had used them and then left them in the car while I went and had lunch one day, and they got too hot in the car. They was alive when I bought them. Of course you're gonna check them. When you buy them, make sure that they're good and alive, but thankfully we realized those are dead before they stunk up the fridge again like the last ones. Because that is a rancid smell when you have dead worms in your fridge. All right, so we've got left rod, dead worm, middle rod, live worm, right rod, tomato. Which will get hit next? One of them will. Hopefully now we got that first one out of the way. The skunk is out now officially, okay? I know we got that channel cat a few minutes in. I personally don't count those, so we were essentially skunked for the first hour. So now we're good. Now it's out. Now we can get down to business here. By gosh. It gets me excited, man. Them rods going over like that, that surge, that run, I like it. Thankfully, another perk to fishing out here in this area of this creek, I don't want to jinx it, but you don't get hung and stuff. Like, they can run around all over and you don't end up getting snagged and other things. Like there's some marker right over here. I think that's marking like a rock pile or something. It's real shallow right there where that thing's at. But beyond that, like, there's not stumps and debris and all that mess out here. So fish can make these long runs and go side to side, and you don't have to worry about getting snagged up and breaking off. Some of these creeks I fish in are so narrow, and they've got stuff along the shoreline, trees and whatnot, that's fallen over into them. And carp make a run, and they run for one of them trees or up along the bank, then you're just, oh, this one jumps up right over there. You're just out of luck, because they're going to get you wrapped up in that stuff, and you're going to have to break them off, or they'll run around a tree and pull the hook out of their mouth. Then you just end up reeling in a tree, or you lose your rig and the fish and everything. But I've caught in this area that we're at, I fished some videos here. It's been a month or so, I guess, since I've been out here. But caught several buffalo. Got some bigger carp here. It's been, and I've fished this area in years past and done really well here. Got my biggest buffalo of all time in this creek. So, like I mentioned before, I don't know why this creek does so much better, or why carp like it so much more than some of the others, but I mean, there's pretty much carp in all these creeks, but some of them definitely have more fish than others. Why that is, I don't know. I don't know how much carp migrate. Catfish for blues, flatheads not so much, but blues, they will roam a lot, depending on the season. Carp, though, I don't know. I don't know how much distance they cover over the course of a year, or, you know, like if the carp that spawn in this creek, let's say, they spawn here, they make their babies, the babies get big. Where do those fish go? Do they stay in this creek? Do they venture out and move on? If some stay and some go, what percentage are you looking at? Either way, I don't know. I don't know. But it don't really seem to matter what season. I mean, I've fished this creek here, for instance. I have fished in the spring, in the summer, and in the fall, and I've caught fish all of them. I've not tried it in the winter, but in the winter months, they drop our water level down, and so where we're sitting right now, there won't be any water in the winter. Like, it'll be completely dry here. So I don't know. Every year I say I'm going to carp fish in the winter, and then I never do. So I don't have any good experience with that. Maybe this will be the year. What happens is, I have the best of intentions, but in the winter months, it's cold, it rains more. I just fish less in the winter. I don't enjoy being cold. I don't enjoy fishing in the winter. And what happens is, because of that, I get behind on posting content. And since most people come to my channel for catfish content, it's like, well, I kind of feel compelled to make sure I'm getting out catfish videos pretty consistently. Well, sure, I'm going to throw in a carp trip here and there. I'm going to throw in a ultralight trip because I enjoy ultralight fishing so much. But I try to make it mostly consistently catfish. The biggest exception to that is usually in the spawn. When catfish are spawning June, early July, you're probably going to see more carp videos. Left rod's getting action. Our dead worm. Here we go on the dead one. You know, that time I used the dead worms, we caught a bunch of fish. Hell, I wonder if dead worms don't do better than live worms. Is that possible? I don't know. He's swimming across our middle line. So far, so good. I don't think he's wrapped up in it. Will he go for the right rod too? He's coming back for the left line again. Okay, good. Let's tighten that thing up so we can go under it. Oh, now he's going every which way. Dead worm though, getting it done, folks. Oh, don't go in that motor. Don't do that, fish. Oh, he's done it all right. Gosh dang, fish. That was the wrong direction to go, fish. Oh, now he's back here under this power pole over here. He went around the motor that way, back here around the damn power pole. Why don't you get the trifecta and go for that pole too, fish? Dadgummit. Well, I guess we'll land him on this side. Y'all need to get control of your fish here. He's a handful. This one here is doing what he wants, buddy. It's another one that kind of waited till we got him up here before he started fighting. But another bite though. Okay, let's land him. This one ain't going to be quite as big as the other one, but pretty good fish nonetheless. He's still got part of that dead worm there on the hook. Oh, middle rod, hang on, fish. Here goes the live worm now. Boy, maybe our mistake was having two rods with the tomatoes first thing. Maybe that was our mistake, because now they're hitting these. We got two rods out with the worms, and we're getting hit. Yeah, folks, we had to wait an hour today, but now we're getting them. It just took more time today. I don't know why. They were out here before then. We saw them, but they just wasn't. And maybe they come up, and of course we've rebaited. There'll be more crumbs on the surface. I was wanting to say maybe they come up and hit the surface bait there first before they went down and eating the bottom baits, but that wouldn't make no damn sense because we got the more crumbs since we just rebaited a few minutes ago. Or more meal, soybean meal, not crumbs. You know what I'm trying to say. Don't get all technical on me. That's another carp right there. We will get this one close over here, get him tired down, and we'll release the one on the floor and then net this one. All we need is two carp in here going crazy. All right, man, doubled up. How about that? This one's a better fish. Okay, let's set him back a second. Let's see if we can undo his friend. I was going to give you front camera time here, Carp, but since your friend has stolen your thunder, I think you're out of luck. Nope. This one here wasn't coming free. There we go. Okay. Carp, tell these people hi and bye, would you? So hopefully next time, if we ever catch you again, it'll be when you got a friend that'll let you have your moment of fame. This one here didn't want his friend getting that camera time. He was so damn jealous. He was so jealous of him. He said, I just can't. He couldn't stand it. He couldn't stand it that his friend was going to get something that he wasn't going to get. And he said, I'm gonna eat that live worm. I wanted a dead one, but he said, I'm gonna eat the live one. Just so my friend won't get that daggone camera time, and I gotta reel this thing up, or he'll have that line tangled. We need to reset our power poles here again too in a minute. Me standing up, I've worked them. I think that right one, I think I've worked it free. This one's bigger than the last one for sure. This one's a good fish. He ain't gonna want to come over here and get in this net though, is he? Come on, fish. Turn this way. Oh. Whoa, where'd he go? He still ain't done, man. This fish is not ready to calm it down. We'll just take our time. We're on his schedule. I'd like to get that other rod out, get it back over there while they're feeding in that area real good. Oh boy, this is a good one, man. This is a big one. This is a big one, folks. No, he does not want to come in that net. He's seen it and he surges away. I swear their eyesight must be incredible. Every time they see a net, they try everything in the world to get away from it, but we got him though. Boy, look at this. That one, folks, is a sow. Wow, look at that thing. Wow. Nice, nice fish. Let me anchor ourselves back down here. There we go. Holy cow, y'all. Look at this thing. Man. All right, I guess the soybean meal and lime jello's working if we can get them like this. We know at least the live worm's getting it done for sure. That's the common denominator. I want to hold this one up, man. Y'all take a picture. Let me clean off that lens there. We still got something all over the lens. Bear with me here, folks. This is what you get unedited. You get this kind of crap. Let me set that there. Y'all, man. I'll fist pump this one. Oh, come on up here, carp. Oh, look at that. Oh, oh, look how thick he is up top there. Oh, man. That's awesome. I knew when I got a look at this one. Sometimes you look at them, you think, oh, they ain't that big, and then as you land them, you're like, oh, they're bigger than I thought. This one I thought was a good size right from the start. Man. All right, we don't have any worms out there right now. We'll see you fish. Thanks for the good time, buddy. I want to get some more dead worms out there. And we still got the tomato out. It ain't done a lick of good yet. But we're gonna try the worms, throw them right over there where they're feeding. And man, y'all, I want to catch some more like that. That one, absolutely worth the wait. Absolutely worth it. It just takes time sometimes to get them going. And I've talked about this in other videos where I've asked you all, the audience there, the people that coming with me, my fishing buddies, like that's what you are in these trips here, you my fishing buddies. Like we're out here together in this mess. I've asked people this before. Should I turn the camera on when I get out here like I did today, and you all suffer through the wait with me just like you did today, for those of you that stuck around? Or, other option, I come out here, we get our baits in, we wait however much time it takes, and then when that first fish hits, I turn the camera on, and then we go kind of unedited, if you will, from that point forward. You know, I've tried it both ways, and the consensus to this point has been turn the camera on when I get on the water, because, you know, these videos are designed to be a real fishing trip, and it's real world stuff when you get on the water and the fish just ain't biting right away, right? So that's been the consensus. But days like today, we've got them feeding now, but it did take an hour or so to get it going. So, you know, for me, I'm used to it. That's just how it is. That's just how it is when you go fishing. That's the reality of fishing. It's not, some days you're right place, right time, and the bite's on instantly, but most of the time, you're gonna have a little wait, or you're gonna have downtime. Sometimes with catfishing, you get on fish right away. You take, right now in these summer months when I'm mostly ledge fishing for catfish, I may be on fish right after dropping baits down. Like maybe I'm in that right place at the right time. But inevitably when you're fishing ledges, at least if you're actively moving on those ledges, whether it be via trolling or drifting if you have current, you are going to go through downtime, stretches of water that just isn't productive, just because there's no fish there during that time, right? And so that's the reality of fishing, man. That's how it is. Now you can, as a YouTuber, you can certainly edit videos and edit out that downtime and make it look like it's just non-stop action, but it's just not reality all the time. And I think those of you that come with me on these trips I think most of you all are in it more for the reality of fishing. You know, you want a real fishing trip. I've upset a lot of people from my regular audience that was used to me putting out shorter edited videos. I've had a lot of complaints, not so much lately. I guess I've finally probably run most of those people off, unfortunately. But when I've kind of switched over to this format, I had a lot of people complaining they didn't like it, but the old saying, and this is true not just YouTube, but everything in life, the numbers don't lie. And, well, I've got to reset these damn poles again. I still feel like I'm setting crooked with these poles. Okay, that's better. Okay, now I think we're set. The reality is, whether it's YouTube, business stuff, whatever, the old saying that the numbers don't lie is totally accurate. The people in the comment box complaining, oh, Justin, you're killing your channel. Why are you doing this? Blah, 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 blah. Nobody wants to watch these 4-hour videos, 3-hour videos, whatever. They're very vocal about it. But when you look at the actual numbers, my views, since I kind of leaned into this format, I certainly like it better. I don't have to edit. I can elaborate more on stuff I want to talk about and stories I want to tell. It's just better for me. But since I leaned into this format, my channel's at all-time highs. Like on the edited videos, I had peaked in 2021. 2022 was down a little bit. 2023 down a little more. Like I was on a decline. I thought maybe I had another year or two left. And I probably did if I'd kept doing things how I was doing them. Because while those people were very vocal, about not liking this style of video and wanting the other type. The fact is, I guess they just wasn't watching very much, because the views on those edited videos just don't get the views that these videos have gotten. And again, when you look at the average watch time, like the percentage of the amount of the video, the percentage amount that people watch in the edited versus the unedited, it's way, even though these videos are so much longer, it's way higher on these. So, you know, the old saying, the numbers don't lie. There's a vocal minority, and it's like that in everything in life. It's like that on social media, on every topic, on everything going on in life. There's a small number of people that speak very loudly. And if you just choose to listen to them versus looking at all of the data, you can really be hurting yourself. And so for me, I thought, you know, at the time when I started kind of leaning into this format, I'm like, I like it better. It's more fun for me. It's less work for me. I don't have to sit behind the damn computer all the time. And I'm like, if I've only got another year or two left doing this on YouTube, like, why not go out on my own terms doing what I want? Now, hopefully it lasts longer than that, but on the pace I was on the decline, like, that's kind of what I was on the trajectory for. So I'm like, I'm gonna go out on my own terms. And boy, since I did that, all-time highs. I've never had more views than what I've had now this last few months. So I don't know how long it lasts. Maybe a flash in the pan. But boy, it's been good while it's lasted, as we got a bee flying around here. I guess the real challenge, oh, middle rod. Boom. We didn't have it out there long, folks. That didn't take long. Dead worm. I'm gonna let him run before I kind of tighten down on him a bit here. Let's tighten that rod up too there, a little slack in it. But here's the question now, folks. Is it the dead worms that's catching fish? Or is it just, for whatever reason, it took that an hour today to get them going, and now they're feeding over there? I guess the soybean meal, I'm gaining more confidence in it by the second, and the lime jello. At least now we know that that's not part of our malfunction today. It just took a while to start for whatever reason. This is another one that feels pretty good right here. He feels like he's got a little weight to him. Old sow belly. It'll be like me if I don't quit drinking so many of them Pepsis. I had 2 yesterday. 2. I had one earlier in the day for lunch, and then we went out to eat before the movie. I actually had a Coke before the movie. We went to Chili's, not because I wanted to. We tried going to the Longhorn. There was a 45-minute wait. I said, we can't do that tonight because we got to go to the movie. So we went to Chili's, because Chili's is such a lousy restaurant, you never have to wait there. You just walk right in. Then you get your food and you realize, well, this is why there's never a wait here. It's awful. But I got a Coke. So a Coke and a Pepsi yesterday. So I'm gonna end up with a sow belly like this carp here if I ain't careful. I hope this one gets in the net easier than the last one did. One of these days, if y'all ain't gonna actually net fish for me, you could at least teach me how to net a fish. Sit here and coach me through it, that way I could get them in a more timely manner. But this is another good one. Oh, Mr. Carp, how I love thee. Let me serenade this fish. You think he'll come over here, swim right into this net just trying to hurt himself if I start singing. Oh, fishy. That's another good one right here, man. I want to get this one in the net right now. Boom. Oh, buddy, y'all. Take a look at this one. Oh, he may be bigger than that other one. Oh, man. Oh, y'all. There's that hook right there. Let me grab it right quick before he starts flopping around. Oh, there he went flopping. There he went flopping. Get that hook out there. Oh, it's in the dang net now. Hold on, Carp. You're acting a fool. Let me set y'all back up here. Oh, man, y'all. Y'all, this is another good one. There is some big carp in this creek today. And we got them feeding right now. I want to try to get hold of this thing if I can. Oh, his dang fins in the net. There we go. Oh, look at that. That one may be, he's at least comparable size to the last one, if not a little bigger. Look how thick his head is right there, man. Oh, man, that's awesome. Oh. We ain't got the quantity yet, but we're getting the quality today. And before it's said and done, now that we got them feeding, we may very well get the quantity to go with it. Very possible. The dead worms, man. That last time them worms died, we caught a bunch of fish on them. And I don't know why that is. Could we have done just as good on live worms? I don't know. But the good thing is that if your worms do die, you ain't wasting $5 on a tub of them because you know you're going to catch some fish. Man. Oh, that pumps me up right there, y'all. That pumps me up. Make sure my line ain't frayed right there, okay? Y'all set up there a minute while I get us rebaited, okay? I'm gonna get us some more of this old soybean meal. Who knew? I've become a believer, right? Quick, fast, and in a hurry. Y'all saw my confidence. It was minimal out here when we're waiting an hour. And I don't remember how many fish I got on that first trip that I used it. 5 maybe, 6 fish, I don't remember. But it wasn't up to the standards that I would have expected, you know, not compared to recent trips where I've used the Panko and had both size and numbers, I guess, if you will. And that's how it is. You try something new, it takes a little while to get confidence in it. But the soybean meal, the lime jello, we will try some pineapple at some point. May do that next time. We'll try it. But it's probably more, like I talked about earlier, just being in an area where there are fish and putting something that they're willing to eat out there. They'll eat it. They don't seem to be particularly picky. But unless we see something dramatic happen with the soybean meal, whether we just start averaging bigger fish, maybe we get more buffalo, although I ain't caught a buffalo since I started using the soybean meal. But if things don't pick up with it, we're gonna go back to the Panko. It's easier to deal with. Okay, here. Y'all hop back on the chest view here while we cast out, why don't you? Yeah, there went part of that pack bait. Most of it, I think, was still on there. All right. We're in the game, folks. Still got us a whole tub of dead worms there. Hopefully we won't have to use the fungus ones. Speaking of fungus, I've got fungus growing and mold in my kayak here. I got to clean that out. I'll have to wash this thing soon. But yeah, just to finish up on the previous topic there, I appreciate those of you that come with me on these unedited, raw, and uncut trips. I like them. It suits my style better because, I mean, most of my trips are short. Today's going to be a short trip, 3-4 hours long. Most of my days outside of tournament trips are. And so it's hard to get a 30-minute video sometimes out of a 4-hour trip. And so with these videos, I don't necessarily feel that same pressure to get a certain number of fish, you know, because the trips just are what they are. I'm not going to post a skunk trip, but I mean, a day like today where we wait an hour to get it going, and now we've gotten some good fish. Even if the bite just completely died off, like, I'm not going to feel compelled to just scrap the day, scrap the video. And for the people that do like the edited stuff, I have that second channel, Kayak Catfish Highlights, where I've posted some shorter videos, just edited videos, shorter clips for the people who want a 5 to 10 minute video. And that channel, by the way, fun fact, just hit 100,000 subscribers. Big carp out there. That was a big one way out there in front of us, almost on the other side of the channel. But that channel just hit 100,000 subscribers, so thank y'all to everybody who has checked it out and subscribed. I guess I'll be getting another plaque from YouTube at some point soon. They send you, and you hit 100,000 subscribers on there, they send you, it's called the silver play button, and it's like it's a pretty nice plaque. It's not made of silver. Fun fact about that, don't take it to a pawn shop. They ain't gonna give you nothing for it, because it is not real silver. It is not something you can melt down and have actual 2 or 3 pounds worth of physical value. I didn't try to pawn mine, but I'm just saying, if you did get one and you wanted to try to pawn it, it ain't gonna work out. Some people take that, it's in the plaque, the silver play button, it's like in a plaque. And I've seen people, and you can watch videos of this crap on YouTube, they take that silver play button out, put hooks on it, and vertical jig fish in the ocean with it. It's stupid. I'm like, man, I'm put in a lot of time and effort to get that damn award. I'm gonna hang that thing up somewhere. I got my other plaque there in the living room of my house. Even got a little stand for it. Yeah, what's funny about that though is my YouTube silver play button there for this channel, it's right there in my living room, like front and center. Proud of that thing. My college degree that I spent a lot more time on and certainly a lot more money to get, I couldn't even tell you where it's at. It's somewhere in a box in a closet. I don't even have a clue where that damn thing's at. It's funny how that works. But it did take a lot less time on the second channel than it did the first. I think it took me, what, 5 years, I think, to get the 100,000 subscribers on the first channel. And the second channel has taken less than 2 years now. But the second channel was kind of an experiment, if you will. I had wondered, and this is something that you all have probably done in your own life, not necessarily YouTube related, but just your life in general. You've at some point undoubtedly had this conversation with yourself or a family member or loved one where you're like, if you could go back in time, knowing what you know now with your knowledge and your life experience, if you could go back in time and make some changes, avoid your mistakes that you made, maybe double down on stuff that worked well for you. Like, if you could go back in time, would you do it? And where would you be if you could? And, you know, I think about stuff like that sometimes, and, well, honestly, I think about stuff like that too much. That's most of my time in a car driving is philosophical stuff like that I dwell on. I spend a lot of mental energy on stuff like that. And so I had that conversation in my own mind, like, with YouTube, there's no real instruction manual on how to grow a YouTube channel. Like, sure, there's a bunch of YouTube channels dedicated to making content about growing a YouTube channel, but that's the biggest genre of YouTube videos, is how to make YouTube videos. Like, that's a simple genre to grow in. But as far as everybody else, their path to growing their channel, regardless of genre, like, everybody's got a different story. You know, there's no blueprint, like, follow these set instructions to get here. Everybody just kind of finds their own way. And there's a lot of trial and error in that, and a lot of mistakes made. And so, you know, I know with this channel here, like, there was a lot of time I wasted. There was a lot of mistakes I made. And so when I got to thinking about doing a second channel, I'm like, if I could take what I've learned now, just trial and error, avoid those mistakes that I made early on this channel, and focus on what works. Like, how quickly could I grow? Would it grow? Would it work at all? Could I grow it? If it does grow, how quickly could I grow it? And so I had been thinking about that for a while. I'd been kind of kicking that around a little bit. And I had this other YouTuber piss me off. He's a failed YouTuber. You know, he's one of those type of people. He's a failure in life. Let's get right down to it, okay? People that have the personality like this particular guy, they're always a failure. It don't matter what they're doing. I ain't just talking about YouTube. They could be, pick your career in life, pick your path in life. People like him are always failures. And he's a failure in his own life. He was a failure on YouTube. He'll continue to be a failure because he just has that mindset. But he was going on to me whining about how, because he started his channel a few years after mine, when there was a lot more channels going on. And listen, the market is, if you're trying to start a fishing channel today in 2024, it's a lot more saturated now than what it was when I started this channel back several years ago. Like, everybody's got a YouTube channel now, right? Like, everybody, we got the tug without the rub here on the left rod. He knocked some slack in it. I wonder if he's got it, and because the line keeps falling. It keeps like getting more slack. Let's pick up on it here. I think he's got it over there, folks. I'm gonna stand up. If we feel weight on it, I want you to jerk his jaw for me, okay? I want you to really give it to him. He's got it. He's got it. He hit it and was coming back toward us. Dead worm. Old dead worm getting it done. Hell, I may have to start buying worms and just killing them, just so we catch more fish. Leave them damn things outside, out in the sun, for an hour the day before we're going to use them. Kill them things off, and then me and you go out there and catch fish with them. This one's caught him a stick too. We're apparently going to get a fish and a stick on this one. I was just talking earlier how these fish don't get wrapped up in nothing, and now I seen a stick over there. Hopefully he come out of it. I'm still going to leave a tomato on this other rod over here just because I want to catch a fish on a tomato today. And it may happen at some point. We got some on them green ones there when I used them, and I've caught fish on red tomatoes in years past. We just ain't done no good with them today. This carp here is pretty small. If I was keeping carp for bait today, this would be one that we could potentially keep, but I'm not going to be keeping any today. while the skipjack fishing's been tough, I have been getting enough lately that I don't feel compelled to keep any carp today. And when I did keep some carp recently, I didn't do as well as I would have liked to have on them. Didn't do well enough to justify the hassle of cutting these damn things, which is a nightmare in itself because of their scales and their bones. He may end up being a little bigger than what I thought initially. That's how that sometimes goes, but definitely not as big as the last one. He is bigger though than I thought he was going to be. Yeah, he's substantially bigger than I thought he was going to be. Another one of them situations where I got fooled when I first saw him. Can I have the hook, Mr. Carp? I want to get back to talking about YouTubers who ain't worth a damn in life or anything. I ain't going to give you no front camera time, although maybe I should, but I'm just going to hold him out like that. Look at that scale falling off. We knocked the scale off. You think he'll miss it? If he does, he'll send us a bill in the mail for it. You watch and see. I don't know how much a carp scale costs to replace, but he'll send it in the mail. That fish right there said he's going to sue my ass. You gotta watch these carp, buddy. They'll take you to Judge Judy quicker than damn it. That's the only TV show they can get down there in that creek is Judge Judy. So they sit around there all day watching it, and then they think that they lose a scale, Judge Judy's going to rule in their favor. And she might. I don't know. Judge Judy can be a tough lady. I don't watch her regularly, but I've seen enough of her to know I wouldn't want to mess with her. I'd be yes ma'am and please and thank you in there. I'd be on my best behavior if I was dealing with Judge Judy. Hell, I might even wear a sport coat in there to her courtroom. I don't own a sport coat either, but I might have to go get one just to look like a professional. Might even put a tie on. I ain't got no tie, but I could probably get me one, at least a clip-on. Yeah, I can't get as much of that bean meal on the feeder, which I don't know that matters, but if I put more on, it'll just fall off. The best thing to seem to do is put as little as possible on there, just enough to get around in that coil and the wires and stuff. And even then, we're probably going to lose some of it off when we cast. Get my dead worm on. At least these dead worms here, these must have died just recently because they're still in pretty good shape and not stinking. All right, there goes that one. And we jerked his jaw good, buddy. Let's put this back up, get it out the way. Okay, man. Another fish. They're biting a lot more frequently now. Just took a first hour super slow. Second hour, we've been going strong. But yeah, on regards to that second channel, so I'd been contemplating it for a while, just out of curiosity. Could I take what I knew, could I take what I learned from just fumbling my way through the first channel, avoid those mistakes, and grow a second channel even quicker and even bigger? And this particular YouTuber was running his mouth and saying, well, Justin, you only got to the level you got because of when you got in. You couldn't start a channel today and grow. And his channel was small. I think he had 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers, and he had posted a video and get a couple hundred views. Like, he just wasn't his videos were awful, and that's what it gets right down to. Like, you know, and I'm not saying mine are any good or whatnot, and they certainly wasn't in the beginning of your channel. But people, I think, oftentimes are a little narcissistic, and they start something brand new, YouTube channel, and they think they're God's gift to YouTube. You know, they're liking their own stuff a little too much there in the beginning, and really, in reality, it's just not that good. Most of the time, you start something, you start a YouTube channel, you're probably not going to be able to operate the camera very good. You're not going to be able to talk to a camera very good. You know, there's just stuff like that you, seeing yourself on camera over the course of time, you kind of pick up on things that you need to change. And anyway, this guy was going on like how I couldn't do it again and whatnot, and things would be different if I started now. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stick it to this guy, you know, because he's just one of those people. And you see these people in all walks of life. They make excuses. They look at other people that are doing better than them, and they're so damn petty and so damn jealous. Instead of just asking for advice or, you know, maybe taking a look at what this person's doing that has helped them be successful and trying to learn from that, they just want to make excuses and try to tear that person down. Try to bring them down to the level that they're at because they can't get up to the level that the person who is doing better than them is at. I can't stand people like that, and you see it everywhere, not just with YouTube, but you see it everywhere. Everywhere, every walk of life, people are jealous that somebody's got something they didn't, and you know, listen, there's a lot of situations in life, like, look, I get it, where somebody does put the time in, they do work hard, and somebody just catches a break that they don't get. Maybe that person that caught the break, maybe they know the right person. Maybe they're related to the right person. Maybe they were just in the right place at the right time. That kind of thing happens, and, you know, people get passed over for job promotions or being accepted into school programs and whatnot. That happens, okay? I get it. But you see a lot of these people that they're lazy. They don't put the time in, they don't put the effort in, the energy into it. And instead of just taking responsibility for the fact that they're just lazy, they just want to tear everybody else down who has put the time and effort in. And whether you like me or not, whether you think I got lucky with this YouTube thing or not, maybe I did. But by God, I showed up week after week, year after year. And it took my channel, you know, I was 4 or 5 years in before I ever made any money at this. You know, like, I didn't start making money. These people nowadays, they get on YouTube like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel and make all this money. And 3 months in, they ain't made a dime. And they're like, well, this sucks, I quit. You know, I did this 4 or 5 years before I made any money and showed up every single week. And I was working full. They say, well, I ain't got time. I got to work, you know, blah, blah, blah. I did too. Hell, I had a full-time job back then. You know, it's like you do it. And the people who do it, and you do it long enough, you typically get rewarded. Look right here on our right rod. We were getting a little tug on the tomato. There's still hope we're going to get that tomato eaten. I thought it was getting tugged on. But anyway, this particular YouTuber, I think he's done quit YouTube now. I don't think he's even posted anything in a long time. But 2 years ago, he was running that mouth at me. I couldn't do today what I've done in years past. And I thought, you know, I want to stick it to this guy just to prove it, just to stick it to him, you know, just to throw it in his face. And I also kind of want to prove to myself that I could start a second channel and avoid the mistakes I did on the first go around, and grow quicker. And well, what do you know? Here we are. 2 years later, I got to 100,000 subscribers, and I think I'm at 40 million views on the second channel. For reference, I got like 49 million views on the main channel. So in 2 years, I've done damn near as many views as what I got in 8 years on this one. Part of that, though, is just the fact I got fortunate with some shorts videos on that second channel that went viral. They got a few million views. In hindsight, I would have maybe rather have grown a channel slower, not done the shorts, because those are what get stolen and shared around all over Facebook and stuff and cause people to make the fake accounts and whatnot, cause them viral videos. My main channel, I've had one video get 1 million views, but it took a long time to get there. I don't go viral on this channel. Second channel I've went viral on. But maybe in hindsight, I would rather had slower growth without going viral on it. But I accomplished the goal. And the goal at that point in time when I started it was to grow as quickly as possible. And so I saw what YouTube was pushing at the time. I looked at that and I said, I can do this. And I did. And I blew right past that guy running his mouth. My channel was bigger than his in about 2 months. And he'll never admit it, but I guarantee you it still probably bothers him to this day, and I hope it does. But I can't stand people like that. Just lazy. You know, they're just lazy. They're just lazy, and they make excuses and blame everybody else for their mistakes. And it's just, you got to show up. If you want something, you got to go get it. And I don't care if it's a YouTube channel, if it's a college degree, if it's paying off a car or a house, your debt, whatever. This fish right here, he's getting after it, buddy. He says he's going to eat that dead worm and just take off with it. He's going, oh, he just let it go. I tightened down a little too much too soon. I'd like to blame y'all for that, but it's me. Just like the people I'm venting about here, I've got to take responsibility for my own mistake. I tightened down too much too soon. That's on me. He got her worm too. Daggone. Well, fortunately, we've got other dead worms in the tub. But you know the type of people I'm talking about that are like this. And the people who are successful in life, and I'm not necessarily, listen, when I say successful in life, I'm not talking about necessarily like rich people. You don't have to be rich to be successful in life. I know a lot of people that live very successful lives, productive lives, have accomplished a lot of their goals from working hard. And that's not necessarily just, they don't necessarily show up in their bank account, but like they've put the time in, they've put the work in to getting whatever it is that they're wanting. Maybe they're just, maybe it's something for their kids. Maybe a husband works super hard, maybe works 2 or 3 jobs. Maybe he ain't making a lot of money, but what he's able to do keeps his wife at home to raise their kid like that was their dream. Maybe it's something like that. Maybe it's maybe they wanted something and he just went after it and got it. Whether it's a skill, a hobby, a side job, whatever. You don't have to, I ain't talking like just financial stuff. Like, you don't have to be rich to be successful in life. It's all about an attitude. It's about a work ethic, which I know is ironic coming from me for what a lot of you are going to say, because a lot of people are going to tell me how, and I've heard this since I've started doing these unedited videos, and one of the things they say, well, Justin, you're just lazy. That's why you ain't editing. Maybe there is some truth to that. I am pretty lazy most of the time. But it still takes time. It takes effort. It takes some sacrifice. Every good fishing spot I've ever had has been sacrificed because of this YouTube channel. Every one. Because every place I've ever caught big fish at's now burned. There's people sitting on them all the damn time. But when you get right down to it, and you want to compare me to, say, that other YouTuber that just wanted to run his mouth at me, tell me what I could and couldn't do and when I couldn't do it. The main difference between me and him just come down to work ethic. Now, his videos wasn't any good, but I mean, mine wasn't either, especially in the beginning. They were awful, absolutely awful. I couldn't talk to camera. I still don't talk to camera well, but I really couldn't back then, really camera shy. Editing was awful. Audio was awful. Now I'm at least cognitively aware of the lighting situation around me. Back then I wasn't. You know, I feel like the production of my videos is at least better now than what it was back then. But that's the kind of things, they take time. You have to keep showing up and playing the game. And people see people on YouTube, they see people out there, and this ain't just YouTube either, this is real life. Like, they see, pick your career field. You see somebody that's where you would like to be, and you think, well, that person's just lucky. You don't see all the behind the scenes. You don't see that person sitting in that office that maybe you want to be sitting in. You don't see all the long hours they put, and maybe going to school or studying on the side or whatever development they've done to better themselves. You don't see all that. It's just, well, they just got lucky. No, and YouTube is good for highlighting that. You know, you see these channels, and you just take mine. I'll just use myself because, I mean, I've obviously got the behind the scenes on that, and many of you have been watching me for years. It's like you see those first 3 years, 4 years there that just, I was going nowhere. And now I did catch a break during the pandemic when COVID hit. Right there in the beginning, when everybody got sent home, all the non-essentials, didn't apply to me being a nurse at the time. I sure as hell didn't get to go home. But during that time, a lot of people wasn't working. They were searching for outdoor content, things to do on YouTube, and I kind of rode that wave. That's when my channel really took off, was during COVID. I've said this, and it sounds terrible to say, but COVID's one of the best things that ever happened to me. Because, you know, it really boosted my channel. It put me on a higher trajectory than I was on. But why was that able to happen? It was because for those previous 3, 4, 5 years before that, I had been grinding and showing up multiple times a week, every week, 52 weeks a year. Just kept hustling, kept grinding. So when COVID hits, which just blew up on the outdoor genre YouTube channels, fishing, any outdoor, camping, all that stuff, all those channels just saw a surge in views. I was there and ready to take advantage of it. And not only was I there at that point in time, not only did I have a channel and actively posting videos during that time, but I had been working out the kinks prior to that. You know, had I started a channel 3 months before COVID hit, would I be where I am today? Probably not. My channel probably wouldn't have taken off. But because I'd been doing it a few years, my shyness on camera, the audio stuff, the lighting stuff, the figuring out what views people want from first person to chest, things like that, I had dialed all that in to that point. So when I caught my break, I was ready to take advantage of it. And I feel, listen, I do feel very fortunate that happened. Like there is some luck involved. I will not deny that at all. Like I fell ass backwards into doing what I'm doing today, really. From the very start. I mean, I didn't plan on being a YouTuber, but me getting a video camera was just a birthday present. It wasn't even a birthday present I asked for. I just got it. And I thought, well, I got this thing, I'll stick it in the kayak, and I did. I filmed a few trips, not talking to a camera, just getting some video footage of me catching some fish. And then it was like, well, what do I do with this footage? I don't have a working computer, my camera card's full. What do? I stick it on YouTube, free storage space. Never thought anybody'd watch. And so I've caught numerous breaks, and I'll be the first to admit that. But there's a lot of breaks you can't catch if you don't show up. What was it, G.I. Joe cartoons used to say, showing up's half the battle. You got to show up, and you got to show up consistently, and you got to try to get better. And if you do that, I don't care what you're in. I don't care if it's YouTube, fishing, playing baseball, being a parent, learning how to knit sweaters, collecting rocks. I don't care what it is that you're doing. If you show up consistently, and actively try to get better at whatever it is you're doing, you can't not get better. You just can't not. And that's probably not true 100% of the time. Like if I tried to get better at advanced calculus or something, I'm probably not going to see much improvement, okay? There's limitations on it. But for most things in life, if you just try, and you try consistently, you will get better. You will see improvement. May not be week 1, month 1, but you keep showing up week after week, month after month. You will get there eventually. May not be on the same pace as somebody else. You can't be comparing yourself to others. You can't be saying, well, me and so started at the same time, and well, now they're so much better off than I am. You can't do that. Everybody's on their own. Everybody's running their own race. You're racing against yourself, not other people. So just show up, man. Just show up consistently and try hard. You will accomplish so much. And the people who don't, the people like this other YouTuber that I'm mentioning, they're the type of people that, sure, they'll show up for a few months, but then they don't get what they want when they want it. They don't get their way. They quit. They're quitters. They're losers. Don't be a loser in life. You know, if there's something you want, go get it, but be willing to work for it. And you can have it. There's another old saying, you can have anything you want in life, you just can't have everything. If you dial in what it is you want to accomplish, what job you want to have, what personal goal you want to achieve, like you can get there if you just focus your energy on it. You can do it. More people need to do that. People like that just piss me off. And I love sticking it to them because they're already predisposed to being jealous and petty of other people's success anyway. Like that's just how they are. And so when you can purposely single one of them out, like this guy who just, Justin, you just got lucky. Like you couldn't do, if you was doing it today, like you couldn't, really? Okay, let me show you. Let me show you, by God. And by damn, I did. I left his channel in the dust 2 months in and ain't looked back. And all them other YouTubers that run their mouth at me like, oh, well, they didn't like what I was doing or how I was doing it. I was just catering to an audience, really. You know, I've had how many people complain through the years, not just, even before these 4-hour videos, right? Back when I was posting 30-minute videos or a 45-minute video, I'd have people chime in on that. It's too damn long. I was making my videos too long. They needed something shorter. Well, I was just catering to those people by taking longer videos, shrinking them down to 5 or 10 minutes. Those people that just want a 5 or 10 minute video, well, now I'm serving their needs. So that I knew that audience was already there. I just had to cater to it. There was already a demand for it. I knew those videos weren't going to get 0 views. I didn't know how good they were going to do. And they certainly don't perform like this main channel does, although I've had a few of those videos do well just from viral purposes. But, it's just, again, it just come into putting in the work. I put out more videos on my second channel in the first month there than what a lot of them YouTubers that were complaining had done in a year or 2. I just kept showing up, man. And you just keep showing up long enough, somebody's going to notice you. And somebody's going to like you. And with something like YouTube, depending on your genre and your personality and all that, like, you may not have millions of people that's going to watch you, but there's an audience for everybody. Your audience may be 50 people, maybe 500 people, maybe 500,000 people. Who knows? But it ain't going to be zero. If you keep showing up consistently and trying to get better, your audience isn't going to be zero. Like, you're going to have people that like your stuff. But you just got to go out there and find them. And to go find them means putting in that work. So anyway, I don't know how the hell I got on that. But again, thanks to everybody who shows up for these marathon 4-hour videos. Thanks to everybody who subscribed to the second channel, helping me get to that 100,000 mark, so I get me that extra plaque. You don't get paid anything for hitting 100,000. You don't get paid anything for subscriber numbers. Just some people seem to think you do. You don't. It's all based on views and watch time and stuff. But still, it's a nice big round number. YouTube at least acknowledges it with that plaque, and so it's nice. And when I get that plaque, it will go in my living room as well. I still won't have a clue where my damn college degree is right now, but damn second YouTube channel plaque will be right there beside the other one, by damn. It sure will. The YouTube fishing genre, though, like it is more saturated now than ever. If you're going to be starting a channel in 2024 or 2025 coming up, you're going to have to, you better be prepared to work, and you better, you got to make yourself stand out amongst the crowd. That is a fact. But, you know, it's just, oh. Is that what I think it is? I don't think we want this one. I think we've got a channel cat over here. When he hit it and it looked like he was rolling initially, I think y'all have gone and done it. You done hooked the wrong fish. I guess we were due for another one. Could have done without it. I ain't seen him yet, but I'm halfway convinced. I'm 75% convinced. I see slime on my line. Yep. Old channel kitty. Come here, channel kitty. Them worms are not for you. He thought it was. He thought it was out there just available for any fish. It was not. That was specifically for a carp or buffalo. Which, the buffalo is why I wanted to try the soybean meal. Because all the people who catch buffalo are like, boy, they really like that soybean meal. I ain't caught one since. 2 trips now. I ain't caught no buffalo. May just be because there ain't no buffalo here right now. Maybe there wasn't no buffalo in that other creek I was in the last time I tried it. But either way, I ain't got one. Now, I can't get this hook out of this fish's mouth. He won't open that. Channel cat, give me that dang thing back, would you? You holding up progress here, channel cat. There we go. Get on out of here. Nobody wants to see you. Even people like channel cats don't want to see one that small. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to cast this one back out first. I think then I'm going to reel in our tomato and make sure the tomato's still on, but at least refresh the pack bait on there, because it's been a while that tomato's been out. And I thought it got hit there a while back, and so maybe we're setting out there with just, of course we still got the plastic corn on the hook, or the hair rig. So we're not setting out there just nothing for them to be attracted to. Like there's something there, but I would say by now that's time for to get a little refresh at least on the pack bait. Oh, another big splash right there. We've still got some fish out there in front of us. They're still there. I just ripped that worm in half. Okay, let's try this one. This worm here, hell, he's so damn thin. I can't hardly run that hook through. I wonder if he was that small. He's long, but he's skinny. I wonder if he was like that before he died. Ain't no telling. I guess that's why them things are Canadian night crawlers, because it's colder up there in Canada. With them being that heat sensitive, they wouldn't do well down here in this Tennessee heat. That we're about to really experience here now that that fog is completely burned off and the sun is out. I should have set us up a little closer to the trees here. I've made a mistake there this morning with that, because we're already getting hit with the sun here on the back of my neck. I should have moved us closer back there. We'll persevere through it. For no longer more than I'm going to fish today, we'll get through. Our tomato's gone. Who knows how long it's been gone? It may have been gone when it hit the water. I don't know. Them tomatoes are good to eat though. The fish may not like them today, but boy, I do. Every time I'm out there piddling in my garden, I eat me a handful and I bring them in. I eat them there while I'm watching the TV set. They're a snack. A healthy snack at that. Offset the Pepsis I drink. Yeah, I can have an extra Pepsi today because I ate tomatoes instead of potato chips. Okay. Goodness, soybean, man, it just sticks to your hand, something terrible. I gotta admit, y'all, I'm not a fan of the soybean meal. 2 trips now. Yes, we've caught fish today, and I'm happy with that. We've gotten some, not only have we gotten some fish, but we've gotten some nice quality carp. But I have to believe we would have probably got them carp even if we'd been using the panko. And it certainly seems to come off your hands a little better. All right, I've cut another one of these tomatoes. Let's fling this out here. Tomato and the pink corn. There it goes. I want y'all to catch a fish on that tomato. I need you to do it now. You can catch as many as you want to, because we still got a whole bunch of that soybean meal right here. Oh, look at this. This is one of these carp scales right here. Check that out. Man, that's about as big as a quarter, probably. That fish, he's gonna take me to Judge Judy over that damn scale. You watch and see. I'm gonna throw it back down there in the water, or he can come get it. I'm gonna call y'all in as character witnesses. When Judge Judy's asking what I done with that scale, I'm gonna be like, I give it back to him. He left it in the kayak himself. I didn't take it off of him. That's a good thing I didn't keep any carp today though, because people be upset with me. I had a comment. This would be a good thing to address in this video here too. Hopefully we're early enough in this video, people are still watching. But one of my recent carp trips, I was struggling to catch catfish bait, and I thought if I catch a couple smaller, you know, it's hard to find a small carp, but smaller size carp, I'd keep them and use them for catfish bait, which I did. I caught some smaller size fish and I kept them and used them on the following catfish trip. But I had a guy on there, and I forget his name. I'd shout him out, I done forgot it. But he wrote a pretty lengthy comment. And he was nice. He was very polite and respectful in the comment. A lot of people get on there, and when I've done something they don't like, they attack. You know, they're their comment is very angry and very, you know, they're name calling, they're argumentative. You know, that stuff just don't get anywhere with me. I hit that block button and go about my day. I'm not going to, sometimes they strike the right chord. I want to engage with them, but most of the time my moderators will catch it before I do. But if I do see it, I try my best to do the right thing, just block them and go about my day. But this guy, he had a problem with what I had done. But he was polite and respectful about it. And he did write a lengthy comment, and, you know, he was upset. And again, he was very, very polite and respectful about it. But he was upset with me because when I kept the carp, I put them in the cooler. And which is not uncommon with me. You know, when I'm bait fishing, if I catch skipjack, I just throw them in the cooler. White bass, whatever, throw them in the cooler. And his complaint was that it was cruel, that I should be knocking that fish over the head, killing it, before putting it in the cooler. And his argument's not wrong. Or his complaint, it's not wrong. I mean, what we do as fishermen is cruel. Fishing is cruel. Okay, there's a certain level of cruelty in nature. Bigger animals eat smaller animals. We see that all the time. Bears catch a fish, a salmon, jumping upstream. They rip that fish apart with their claws. A pack of coyotes will attack a small deer and rip it to shreds. Nature's cruel. And yes, us humans maybe have the reasoning ability and just the ability in general to be better than that, or above that, or maybe not even better than that's the word, just be different than that. We certainly can. But if you're going to fish, and I don't care if you're just somebody who's using artificial lures and it was 100% catch and release, what you're doing has some cruelty to it, right? You are tricking a fish into biting a hook. You are fighting that fish, which is struggling to get away, removing it from the water, possibly removing some of its slime coat with how you handle it. Even if you are a catch and release fisherman who's using artificial baits only, undoubtedly you're going to, at some point, gut hook a fish, right? Like, it's just how it is. But this guy's argument was that I need to do a better job of killing these fish quicker, I guess, would be the best way. He wrote it more, his way of wording it was I'm butchering his comment here. His was very well thought out and very well worded. Me paraphrasing is butchering it, but you get the basic gist of it, what he's trying to explain and whatnot. But his thing that he thought I should do was knock that fish over the head with a club, kill it, put it in the cooler. And in theory, sure, maybe the fish dies either way. Maybe it dies quicker if you hit it over the head. I push back on that. I push back on it for 2 reasons, and I'm not going to do that for a couple reasons. One, if I whacked a fish over a head with a club on video, and if I'm filming an unedited video, how the hell are you going to hide that? If I do that, I would be demonetized, guaranteed. As much flack as I catch on these videos as it is, imagine if you get some grandpa that's watching one of my videos with his grandkids, 3, 4 years old, and they see me just violently clubbing a fish over the head. You imagine? Listen, as an adult, you might get it and you wouldn't be bothered by it, maybe you would. But a 3, 4-year-old kid that's watching with their grandpa or something, like that's not going to fly. Now that fish flopping around in a cooler for 30 minutes, is that worse than clubbing it over her head? Maybe, yeah, maybe. But you're not upsetting small children. You're not upsetting, if you're watching with your wife or your girlfriend who's maybe a little squeamish, who maybe isn't into fishing, you're not bothering her by putting it in the cooler. So I have no doubt if I did that, I would probably be demonetized on YouTube. I would probably get flagged. I think that would probably fall into their terms of service guidelines regarding violent acts and stuff like that. Maybe even into the cruelty to animals. I know it's something a lot of fishermen do, but I think that may fall into that because while it's done by fishermen, it's not filmed. It's not put on video. It just don't look good on video. So I have no doubt I'd be demonetized for it. That's number one. Here's the other thing. Have you ever whacked a carp over a head before? I have. Back in the day, my younger days, I used to bow fish. Nowadays, I hate bow fishermen. I've learned the error of my ways. But back then, there was a time when I liked archery, I liked shooting bows, and I liked fishing. So combine the two, you got bow fishing. And be honest with you, once you get past the senseless killing of carp, it's pretty fun. I'll admit it. I don't like the guys who do it, but I admit it that it's fun. You need a place to dispose. If you're going to do it, and I hope people don't, but if you do, you need to dispose of the fish properly. Don't leave them thrown up at the boat ramp on the ground, stinking up the place. And that's unfortunately what a lot of bow fishermen do. But, it's a barbaric thing, but I'll admit, in my younger days, I did it, and there was a time when I enjoyed it. There was times I used to carry a piece of rebar. I had a boat at a time. I had a little John boat, had some lights on it, LED lights, and you get out there at night and bow fish for carp. And when I would bring carp in, there were times I'd take that piece of rebar, whack them over the head. Because, you put an arrow through them, but depending on where you hit them, they're not going to... Carp seem to die slow no matter what you do to them, okay? You put an arrow through them, you whack them over the head with a rebar, and 20 minutes later, you'll still see them flop once. Their gills will still be flapping, okay? They're a hard fish to kill. And so, even if my point with where I was going with it is, even if you whack a carp over the head with a club or a piece of rebar, it don't necessarily mean that it's going to die instantly. It may still take 20, 30 minutes. Either way, if you make a decision that you're going to keep that fish for bait, or if you're bow fishing and you're going to put an arrow through that fish, you are making a decision that fish is going to die today. Okay? Death ain't pretty. It's not. I don't care whether it's you're fishing, whether it's the bear eating the salmon or the coyotes eating the deer, or just humans dying of natural causes. Look, I worked ER for a long time, folks. Before YouTube, that's what I did. I was an ER nurse. Before I was an RN, I was an LPN. So I was a nurse for a long damn time before YouTube took off for me. And working in the ERs especially, I have watched a lot of people die. Some old and past time, right? Others, just normal, healthy human beings, got up that day, had no idea that they were going to be in an accident or have a heart attack or a stroke or whatever. People that seemed healthy otherwise had no idea when they got up that morning it was the last day of their life. But having watched a lot of people die, I can tell you firsthand, death is not pretty. As we're getting hit on this left rod. This fish over here messing with this bait ain't pretty either. Our line has gone completely slack. Let's see what's going on here. I'm gonna jerk his jaw if I feel any weight. Oh, I see him jumping out there. Oh, and he jumped, he threw the hook. Oh, I felt him pulling when he jumped and it was gone just like that. Jaggummit, man. I hope y'all at least saw him jump out there. He had that dang thing. Let's do that. Obviously we got to rebait this. Let's reel in this middle one too, and I feel like it's been a little while for it. Let's get it rebaited too, and then I'm gonna finish my story about this fella who left me an essay. And I didn't block this guy, okay? Like, if somebody's going on there and they're personally attacking me and talking crap and stuff, they're gonna get blocked. Like, I'm not gonna waste my time. This channel, especially now that I'm doing these unedited videos, right? Like, y'all are my fishing buddies. That's how I consider it. Like, y'all are coming out here, you're fishing with me today. Like, we're on a fishing trip together. And the people that want to blast me in the comment box, those aren't the type of people that I would be fishing with in real life. Like, we wouldn't be sharing a kayak together. We wouldn't be sharing a fishing trip together, okay? Because I wouldn't want to interact with those people in real life. So if I don't want to interact with them in real life, why the hell do I want to interact with them on the internet? So them people that blast me and want to attack me and call me names and this, that, and the other, they're blocked instantly. Hell with them. But this guy, even though I disagree with what he was saying in the comment box, and he had a good argument with it, right? Like, I get it. I disagree with him, but I get it. I get where he's coming from. But he was polite and respectful about it. And, if somebody disagrees with me and they're polite and respectful about it, that's fine. So I didn't block this guy. I left, and I didn't even take his comment off. Like, he's, and a couple other people I think had chimed in and whatnot. Perfectly fine. But I did, respond back to him, and normally those situations I don't like the comment box for that reason. Because when it's something like that I feel like I need to address, it oftentimes requires me a ton of time writing out my own essay in response. And I just, it's a time suck for me oftentimes. I hate the comment box. I've tangled this hook up in my swivel here. Ain't no wonder we ain't catch nothing on this one. Worm's still on and everything. My second channel doesn't have the comment box turned on. And a lot of people will comment on this channel and be like, hey, Justin, glad you turned the comments back on. Like, I never turned them off on this channel. It's my second channel. They've clearly watched a video on my second channel and tried to comment and didn't realize they were watching the second channel. That's probably why I've got so many more subscribers on my main channel than my second one, because there's probably a lot of people that watch my second channel and have no idea that it's not my main channel videos, you know what I mean? But I don't have comments on that channel. I hate the comment box overall. And one of the things I wanted to learn when I started that second channel was, do comments really matter as far as growing a channel? So I just turned the comments off from the very beginning just to see, just as an experiment on that second channel. And sure enough, it obviously did not affect the growth of the second channel, not one iota. So comment box, not as useful as what other YouTubers will have you believe it is, as far as growing a channel, engagement and all that they call it. Your engagement numbers don't really matter as far as the comments go. If you're a new YouTuber out there starting out wondering what you need to focus your time on, I wouldn't focus a lot of your energy on the comment box per se. But anyway, I don't have the comments turned on the second channel. And the main channel, when I get comments like this that I feel like need to be addressed, it does oftentimes takes time. You know, it takes time away from other things that I'm doing, like picking out this tangle here right now, which just continues to be tangled. What the hell's going on here? Okay, there finally. I think a fish must have tied that thing in a knot. But anyway, I did reply to this guy with basically what I'm telling you now, reasoning how I think I would get demonetized. Don't know for sure, but I have to believe it would fall into YouTube's violence policy. And I get it. Listen, you're probably going to, the counter argument that is, well, Justin, I see more violent stuff than that on YouTube all the time. You do. It's on there. But my question to you is it monetized? Just because you see it on there don't mean that content creator's getting any money for it. And, you know, again, if I'm going to burn my fishing spots to the ground, if I'm going to come out here and set up my damn camera and go through the hassle of filming, by God, I want to get something for my time. You know, I want to get something for it. And so, and again, if I whack that fish over the head, those carp, man, I'm telling you, 30 minutes later, you done whack that thing with a piece of rebar, it'll still be alive. You may not be able to put it in the water and have it swim off alive, but it'll still kick from time to time. The gills will still be moving. Them fish are survivors, man. There we go, we got that one back up. But where I was going with it, before that fish that tried to hook up and didn't, interrupted us, is that death isn't pretty. Unfortunately, I've watched a lot of human beings die working in the ER. It's part of the job. As an ER nurse, you get hardened off to it pretty quickly. You have to survive the job. It's just, you can't take that stuff home with you, you know. So it takes a few weeks, and death don't really bother you that much. And obviously, if it was your family member, somebody you was close to, death is going to bother you. But just a patient coming to the ER that you don't know from anybody else, like you get hardened off to it. You learn to compartmentalize it. You go as hard as you can, you do the best job you can to try to save that person, but when they die, when it's over, you got to move on. Like this fish is moving on with our hook. That wasn't out there very long, was it? That was not out there very long, and he's done, oh my gosh, did he just come off too? He sure did. I don't know what went wrong with that one, but he come off. Did he get our dead worm? He got part of our dead worm. Well, let's just bait up and do it again, why don't we? At least we know there's still fish out there. But you know, when people die and you're working around death, like you just learn to, I'm not going to say, it's not that you don't work hard to save them. You do. You go as hard as you can. But when it's over, you got to let it go. And so, because, not only because there's nothing more you can do for that person. They're dead and gone. you dwelling on it's not going to bring them back. You can second guess yourself and whatnot, and what you and your team did trying to save them. It's not going to do a damn bit of good. It's not going to do a damn bit of good for the person that died. And you know who it is going to affect negatively? The next patient coming in that needs you on top of your game mentally. So you just can't dwell on that stuff. So somebody dies, I go out that room, I wash my hands, and I give myself a moment there as I'm washing my hands to just feel whatever you need to feel. And when I turn that faucet off, it's over. I'm done with it. I move on. You got to. Now, there will be times when there are patients or patients' family members that maybe just, they strike that chord with you. Maybe they remind you of your own family, or maybe you're dealing with something in your own personal life that's messing with your emotions or something, and maybe it's a full moon and your own hormones are messed up. Hell, who the hell knows? There are times when a random stranger's death is going to hit you a little different than others. But for the most part, if you're going to work around death, whether it's you're a doctor, a nurse, a tech, whatever, in a hospital setting where you're, ER, ICU, or, some hospice center, something like that, where people are dying, and oncology, places where people are dying more frequently than in other areas of healthcare. If you're going to work around that, if you're going to be a paramedic or an EMT, if you're going to be a cop or a firefighter, you're going to have to learn how to deal with death. And it's never pretty, okay? At least not from the outside view. Now, we have no idea what people are experiencing as they die. That's a whole nother topic. But from the outside looking in, death isn't pretty. Of all the people I've seen die through the years, I've never seen anybody go out with a smile on their face, ever. Okay, so as our tomato got a little tug, so in the end, everything dies. Some deaths are worse than others. I think as human beings, most people don't think about their own demise. I do. And I don't know that that's healthy, but I think about it quite often. And I think maybe I think about it as much as I do because I worked around death so much. So it's hard to stick your head in the sand like you won't ever die when you see people die all the time. Especially, you take something like ER where you're seeing a fair amount of younger people die. I'm 42 now, and you don't see a lot of 42-year-olds dropping dead of heart attacks, although it does happen. You don't see that very often, but I mean, you see car wrecks, you see accidents, you see that odd cancer diagnosis. Like you see it, and the older you get, although I was thinking about death at a younger age, I guess just because working around it at a younger age, but I think maybe as human beings, as we get older, we're more inclined to think about death and how we might die. And I think most of us, if we had a choice in it, I think most of us would like to live to be a very old age. We would hopefully be very healthy, live a very healthy, active lifestyle into old age, and then die peacefully in our sleep. right? I mean, that's how I think most people, if you had to choose how you go out, you live a long, healthy life and just die peacefully in your sleep. Don't even know you've died. That's a fairy tale, folks. Maybe that happens occasionally. I'm sure it does. But for most of us, our deaths are going to be, I don't want to get too graphic on here, but for most of us, death is going to be an excruciating experience, at least again from the outside. Don't know what's going on the inside with a person as they die, but from the outside. You know, if maybe it's a prolonged illness where you're slowly declining, maybe you're in that car wreck, you know, and you go through a lot of pain or whatever before. Either way, most of us ain't going to die peacefully in our sleep is what I'm getting at. And just coming back to the fish, it's no matter how you die, in the end, you're dead. And so whether it takes 3 seconds when you have that massive heart attack and you hit the floor and you're gone, if we could all be so lucky, that would be my second. Dying peacefully in my sleep, option number 1. That's my number 1 pick. Option number 2, massive heart attack and being dead before I hit the floor. That's my number 2 choice. But regardless, man, it just, you know, it's just not going to, in the end, you're dead, you know? And so I guess it just comes down to what you can deal with as far as death goes. I've worked with nurses in the past that just, I think emotionally maybe couldn't, there's other factors obviously in the ER, just the fast pace of the environment. A lot of nurses that come and tried it couldn't keep up with the pace. Couldn't keep up with the pace in the short term and definitely couldn't maintain it over a 12-hour shift. That's what got most of them that flopped out of that environment. They just couldn't keep up. And a smaller percentage of them would really struggle with the emotional side of it. The stress of the fast pace, coupled with the fact that people die in very tragic, violent, painful ways oftentimes. If you can't isolate your emotions from that, it's best to move on from it, because you can't let dead people haunt you. And you're going to have a lot of dead people willing to haunt you if you work in an environment where you are actively taking care of people that are dying. You just got to let it go. And if you can't let it go, plenty of areas in nursing and healthcare you can work in to where you either won't be around death or won't have to be around it very often. And the same thing when it comes to something like fishing, where you're harvesting fish to use for bait, whether you're harvesting fish to take home to the dinner table, maybe you're using live baits to catch fish with. My recommendation and suggestion is that if you are bothered by it, if it upsets you in any way, don't expose yourself to it. Don't watch my videos, don't watch other fishermen's videos. And you can watch fishing, and I ain't telling you what to do. Like, you know, maybe bass fishing channels or my ultralight videos where I'm out there with a gulp minnow. I'm using an artificial bait, I'm releasing the fish. Maybe that's more suited for your needs. And I'm not saying you're like less of a person or less of a man because this kind of thing bothers you. I'm not saying that at all. But if it is something that bothers you, why subject yourself to it? If something I do is something you don't agree with, if it connects with you on that level that you feel the need to write a multi-paragraph essay in my comment box, then it's probably best if you remove yourself from the situation. Now, again, I'm not going to block this guy. I'm not going to remove him. He has every right in the world to disagree with me, and he did so in a very polite manner. So, I'm not going to do that. I block the people who are jerks because I don't want to interact with a jerk. This guy I could probably have a very healthy conversation with, even though we disagree. And I know that's rare in 2024 when people disagree with each other. It's an automatic clash. You know, we've got a lot of tribalism. You got to pick a side, and if somebody goes against what your side thinks, there's no common ground. With this guy, him and I could have some common ground, I'm sure. But him and other people like him who are bothered by me putting a fish in a cooler and it dying that way, I'm not going to beat it over a head on video. One, I don't think it'll work. Two, I'm not going to get myself demonetized or get my channel hurt. I'm also not going to, a lot of people will bleed those fish out just to make sure they die a little quicker. I'm not going to do that because I don't want them bled out. If I'm using them for cut bait, why do I want to have them bleed out? I need that blood for the cut bait. But fishing is, it's fun, but it's not the most pretty thing. You know, oftentimes, like, it's just not. Maybe fly fishing. Fly fishing is more of an art form. Maybe that's prettier. But what we're doing here, just nature in general, when one species is trying to conquer another species, whether it's humans catching a fish, a bear eating a fish, the coyote eating the deer, nature's violent, and it's just, it ain't pretty. That's the best way I can describe it. It's just not pretty. Death is never pretty. Ever. It's just not. You know, it's just, it may be on the inside. I don't know. I will someday. I hope it's a long ways off. We all will. Nobody really knows what a person goes through when they die. I know there's been people who have technically died and been brought back. I have interacted with some of them in the ER. And you can watch, pull up YouTube, pull up TikTok, man. There's all kinds of stories. You'll find all kinds of videos, these near-death experiences, or people who have actually died and been brought back. And they'll tell you all these stories about how they went to the other side, they saw the light, they saw family members. Some of them will tell you they rose above their own body and could see the healthcare workers working on them below before they were brought back into their body. I ain't calling these people liars. Maybe some of them out there did, but let me tell you, every single person that I have, oh God, here comes all these geese. Y'all, we got the mighty ducks here, the flying V. They're gonna fly right over us. Get on, geese. We got stories to tell. Every single person who has, technically by our human standards, been dead and has been brought back and has regained some form of consciousness, being coherent. And most of the time in the ER, if you save somebody, if they wake up again at all, oftentimes you save them, you get the heartbeat back, but then they die in the ICU 3 days later because they've been brain dead. But if you do get somebody that's had that experience and they're conscious again, they're coherent, every time I've ever had an opportunity to ask that person, what did you see? What happened? What's the last thing you remember? Ain't nobody got a story like that. The lights just went out. They're not seeing dead family members. They're not seeing a light. They ain't rising above their body. The lights went out. That's it. And I ain't saying like I don't believe in an afterlife or ghosts and all that. I don't know what's waiting for us on the other side. I do believe in ghosts 100%. It's my greatest fear in life is ghosts. I'm terrified of them. I've seen too much stuff I can't explain. So I 100% believe in ghosts. as our left line over here is slack. I'm gonna stand up. Again, if we feel something on here, I'm gonna wreck his day. Me setting the hook on this fish ain't gonna be pretty either. I don't feel him though. I think something just hit us and knocked some slack into it. Okay, let's set that back. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I totally believe in ghosts. As far as an afterlife, I have no idea. Don't know what we're going to experience when we die or the process leading up to death. Don't know. You know, I do believe if you have a death that's slow, you know, if you drop dead of a heart attack like that, if you're in a car wreck and you're killed instantly, your brain doesn't have time, your body doesn't have time to transition into anything. But if you've got a death that's slow, if you're somebody maybe in hospice care and it's coming, you will oftentimes see people, they will, you would call it hallucinations. Hallucinations are only an hallucination unto people on the outside. To the people that are hearing the voices or seeing things, it's real to them, okay? Whether it's a visual or auditory hallucination, it is real to the person experiencing it. And when a person is close to death, whether it's hours or sometimes a few days away, they will oftentimes start to experience things going on around them that we can't see. They see it, they hear it, we cannot. Sometimes it will be family members that they're interacting with. Oftentimes parents will come back or be there, you know, they'll start talking to their dead parents. Sometimes, this is a very common thing, they will be children. You'll have an old person and say, look at the children over there. They've got balloons and everything. I don't know why it is they see children, unless the fact that maybe they are seeing children for real. I mean, they're talking to them. They clearly see it. Now, and this is the debate you can have. Who knows? None of us will truly ever know this until we're in that point in time. But is that the brain releasing chemicals? You know, it's been proven that the brain releases DMT before death. Like, is that the brain helping ease you, calm you, whatever, before you go out? Or are you just transitioning into a different plane of the universe where you can see things that's maybe going on around you that normally you can't see? You take an animal like a dog can hear frequencies that humans cannot. There are a lot of colors in the color spectrum that the human eye cannot see. Is it possible there's a whole world going on around us that's just a different dimension that I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't have a clue. But I know when people are close to death, few hours, few days, they will oftentimes experience stuff that we, as healthy human beings, are not. And of all the experiences that I have had with that, and I don't know how we get on this stuff. Y'all here to see fish caught today. I don't know how we get on this, but we're on it, so I'll finish it up. All the times that I have experienced that, I've only had one where the person was afraid of what they were seeing. Most of the time, again, it's family members that are coming back for them before they die. It's children. It's not their arch enemy. It's not a demon or a devil or something coming after them that they're just terrified right before they die. Like, you just don't see that. And again, I've never seen anybody go out with a smile on their face when they actually die. But if they're seeing people, children, whatever, before they die, it's not people that they don't want to see. At least in my experience anyway. The exception of one time and one person. When I first got out of school, again, I was an LPN first. I was an LPN. I did that for 5 years. Then I went back to school, became an RN, then began working the ER. But my first job out of LPN school, I worked in a nursing home. And obviously a lot of people die in the nursing home. Usually, on average, when a person goes into a nursing home, most die within 12 months. Statistics get a little skewed on that because a lot of people will go to a nursing home. They'll go from the hospital to a nursing home and they're really bad shape, you know. So that kind of skews the numbers. You'll have some people that live in nursing homes for years, but on average, within 12 months of entering a nursing home care, the person will die. But that particular nursing home, we had a lady. And again, a lot of those people, when they were close to death, would see family members, children, etc. But we had a lady, she would see, and this was, she had been there a while, and she had a roommate. You had two people to room back then. Her roommate had died long before I had started work there. And her roommate apparently didn't get along. They were always arguing and bickering and stuff. When she would start to talk to her dead roommate, you could set your watch. Somebody was going to die very quickly, within a few hours. It wasn't going to be her, but somebody else in there was going to die. And that was a unique situation that kind of gets you thinking, oh, like this fish right here. Okay, here we go. Hopefully this one's going to stay buttoned up. We've had some bad luck with fish coming off. We're due to land one here. And then don't let me get sidetracked with this fish and forget to tell you the rest of this story. Because this is fascinating, at least it is to me. I don't want this fish stealing the thunder of the story though. I want to land this fish. And I don't want to lose this fish because we've lost too damn many. Come on, fishy. Boy, is he in something out there? You know, I talked earlier about how there ain't nothing out there, and this is a weird fight. He started out fighting hard. Now I feel like I'm almost dragging him and something else in. I don't know what the hell is going on with this fish, but he ain't using much energy, so when we get him up here, he's going to take off, I'm sure. Tighten that line up. Where is he going? Is he over or under that other line? Folks, I have no idea what's going on with this fish right here. I have no idea. That is a good fish. He's barely fought. Holy cow, look at that fish. Oh, that is a huge carp. He's barely fought. He has barely fought us. I don't guess I was reeling in something with him. I guess I was just reeling him in, reeling the weight of him in without him really fighting much. I guess he's gonna fight now though, ain't he? Do something with the net here, y'all. He ain't ready yet. What a weak fighting fish for as big as he is. Is it possible? I don't know, but this is a big fish. Is it possible this is maybe our other big one from earlier that maybe we caught again and he's just wore out? I don't know. This one's going to be comparable to the biggest one that we've got today for sure. This is a big fish for no harder than he fought. I mean, that is very not like a carp to fight that weak. Oh, there come the hook. Easy, carp, easy. This one's big enough to cause some damage here. Again, y'all, I'm gonna fist pump it, even though it was a weak fight. He's got water all over the lens. Let me get that out the way. He's still got water on the lens. Let me fix you here. Well, if y'all gonna fish with me, you could at least wipe your own faces off here. This is something else, y'all. Man, y'all. He's still flopping around now. Okay, I want you to take a picture of me and this fish. This is a big carp. This may be the biggest one of the day. But you saw it. He barely fought. Oh. Easy, carp. He's got some power. Look at that. As the sun's behind us, I ain't even gonna get a good picture. Y'all, that is a nice carp. That thing's huge, man. Oh, look at that. This may be the biggest one of the day. I just wonder if it ain't the same one. That's the biggest one of the day. And he just was wore out from earlier because he barely fought. Get on out here, buddy. Find you something to eat out there that ain't got a hook in it. At least until we come back next time, then I want to catch you again. I'm gonna fist pump it anyway, man. That's awesome. We haven't got the numbers of fish today. Although, I mean, we're gonna walk away with several fish when I leave here another hour or so. But the quality today has been really good on the ones that we have got. Like, I'm very impressed with the quality today. Like you get a carp like that, man, that's normally a really intense battle right there. He just didn't have the fight today, man. He was just wore out. Partying all night or something. Hell if I know. Let's do it again though. I wanna get some more. I mean, there may not be many out there, but by gosh, they want them dang dead worms. It may be the dead worms more so than the soybean meal. Again, I don't know. But they're eating. It ain't like them worms are crawling off the hook because they're dead, you know what I mean? Like, they're not wiggling off, and we're not having bluegill and turtles and stuff like that messing with our lines before these fish hit, so they're eating them dead worms. They're not eating the tomato today, unfortunately. We are still skunked on the tomato. But it's okay, we've offered options. And we've gotten rewarded. And I'm gonna get this cast back out. I'm gonna tell you about this woman from my nursing home days. I would never work a nursing home again. You couldn't pay me enough money to ever do that again. But in LPN school, or after getting out of LPN school, unfortunately, there was wasn't a lot of job opportunities for a new grad LPN with no experience. So I took the one job offer that I got, which was that place, and did it for, I guess I was there a year or so. I would never do it again though, by God. Never. Ever. Ever, ever, as Taylor Swift would say. Okay. All right, we're back in the game there. So anyway, this woman, she would talk to her dead roommate, and within a few hours, Set your watch to it, man, every daggone time. And she would only talk to, it wasn't like she was talking to that woman all the time. She would talk to her, and then somebody would die, and then she would stop talking to her. It was like that woman was still there, her ghost was still there, and when she would come around, it was to, I guess, take one of the other patients to wherever it is they go when they die. I don't know. But stuff like that, you just can't explain. You know, I don't know what happens when we die. I don't know what's going on inside the human body when we die. I don't know that we're even really dead when we're dead. The way it is, the way it's measured anyway, human life is heartbeat, right? I mean, in the nursing home, if somebody was a DNR, or do not hospitalize, you know, we would have somebody that they would die there in the nursing home. How we would confirm death, we would have 2 nurses use a stethoscope, listen for a heartbeat for a minute each. And when 2 nurses confirmed there was no heartbeat, that person is dead. In the hospital setting, same deal. I mean, we're using technology and stuff that we don't have in the nursing home setting. You've got people on heart monitor and all that, but when the heart stops, and obviously ER, we're going to do chest compressions, we're going to do CPR for a good amount of time, depending on the situation of the person. But once you have exhausted your options and you cannot regain a heartbeat, that person is pronounced dead. Is that really when you die? I don't know. That's just how us humans determine life and death, is if there is a heartbeat. Oftentimes we would regain a pulse. I mean, you do chest compressions, you pump enough epi into somebody, oftentimes you'll get a heartbeat back. Stick them on a ventilator, send them to the ICU. 3 days later, you know, they're pulling the plug because they were brain dead. The heart's beating, you're breathing for them, brain dead. You know, so when did they really die? Did they die when the heart stopped, or did they die when the brain died? Don't know. You see the people, and again, I ain't trying to get political on here or anything, but these people that are against a woman having an abortion. And again, keep your politics out of my comment box, please. I'm just going to use this as an example. But one of the arguments that they make is that when the child there has a heartbeat, it is alive. Now, that its brain is not functioning, it's not developed, that it cannot survive outside of the mother, but it has a heartbeat, so therefore they consider it alive. That's just how we measure life and death as human beings, but we don't truly know if that's how life and death really begins and ends. Does life begin when the heart begins? When it first beats its first beat, is that when life begins? When the heart beats its last beat, is that when it ends? I don't know. But I've sent a lot of patients to the ICU that had a heart beating on its own that ultimately was brain dead. And so I don't know. None of us truly know, and none of us ever will truly know until we die. But again, every time I've ever interacted with someone whose heart had stopped and got restarted again, all of them, everyone I've ever personally talked to, the lights just went off. There was no stories from the other side. And I'm a curious person. Like, I know it's probably, there'll be people in the comment box getting after me, you know, probably unethical behavior, asking people like that kind of question. But I ask every single one of them because I want to know. That's The last great frontier, well, I take that back. There's 3 unexplored frontiers left for humanity. Outer space, the deepest parts of the ocean, and death. We have no idea what's out there in any of those last great frontiers. None of us do. And so any glimpse we can get into that, whether it's flying saucers and aliens coming in from outer space, I'm fascinated with it. Anytime they bring up some crazy sea creature or some video footage from some deep submarine out there in the unexplored ocean, I'm fascinated by it. And anytime somebody has had a death or near-death experience and has come back from it, I want to know what the hell they saw. So, thus far, again, I've watched videos, social media, TikTok, YouTube. Tons of people online got stories. My personal experience dealing with people in that situation, nobody has a story. Just the light switch turned off, man. Just went blank. And I kind of think about that. You know, we don't know what really controls consciousness. Everybody assumes it's the brain. Don't know. Let's say you have a surgery and you get anesthesia. Oftentimes they'll have you count backwards from 10, and by the time you hit 7, you're gone. The lights shut off. My own personal experience, when I had a car wreck, 2007, got messed up real bad. I've told that story on this video, or not this video, but one of these unedited videos. I got knocked out in the wreck. I don't remember hitting the tree, but I do remember coming to in the truck. And at the time I was an LPN, I had, nursing skills, and I remember kind of assessing myself in the truck. Like, I remember I couldn't move my leg, and I was having a hard time breathing. And then I don't remember anything again until the ambulance. I was inside the ambulance. They were cutting my clothes off. There's a time period there from when I went off the road until I hit the tree and woke up in the truck. I have no recollection of. I remember reaching for my phone. That's what caused me to wreck. I was trying to answer my damn cell phone and got off on the side of the road. I remember reaching for it. I remember getting in the loose gravel. I vaguely remember overcorrecting because there was another car coming this way. I don't remember hitting the tree. I don't know how long I was out in the truck before I come to. And I don't know really how long I was awake in the truck before I went back out, or how long it had been. Where I was at, I would assume it took the ambulance a while to get to me. I have no idea. But when it happened, to my knowledge, I wasn't off in another plane of existence. I wasn't in an afterlife. The lights just went off. And they were off until they come back on. Just like when you have surgery and you get anesthesia. You're out for the duration of the surgery. And at some point when they're done, the lights come back on. And you slowly regain your wits about you. But are we dead during that time? When your brain's not working, either because of some trauma, in my case there with the car wreck, I was probably concussed. I'm sure when I hit, I took an impact I wrapped my truck around where I come to a rest. I hit a tree. I T-boned a tree essentially. When I went back off the road, the truck hit the tree and it come right in my driver's side door. Broke my hip, my pelvis, numerous ribs. So I'm sure when that tree come in my door, my bell probably got rung, you know. I'm sure I was concussed along, that was the least of my injuries, but I'm sure I was concussed. But when you're out like that, sure, your heart's beating. Are you dead though? We wouldn't know if we were dead or not because we're out. Same with anesthesia. You're using a chemical, but you're out. I'm not 100%, and I'm getting off in the weeds here. Y'all are just, we're getting way off in the bushes here on this one. But is it possible that we die when we sleep? Now, we know our brain, well, we think our brain is still functioning because we have dreams. And sometimes, I won't say never, I rarely remember my dreams when I wake up. Some people do. Some people remember their dreams vividly. On a personal level, I find those people annoying. I cannot stand when somebody wants to tell me about the dream they had. I mean, it's one thing if it's a Martin Luther King type dream where it's like a daydream that you're a goal you're working toward. Tell me about that. Tell me about your dreams that you're trying to accomplish. But don't tell me about some dream you had while you were sleeping because some monster was chasing you. And you know, I don't give a damn. I can't stand that. I broke up with a girl one time because she was always telling me about her dreams. I just couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand talking to her. Look right here, we got a fish working this tomato rod finally. Something tugged on it. I know I didn't imagine that. But anyway, I get very annoyed when people talk about their dreams. But my point is, if you can call it a point, again, we're way off in the bushes. The weeds are getting tall where we're going with this one. But is it possible that when we sleep at night, when our brains, they don't shut down, but our consciousness kind of shuts down, are we dead during that time? We wouldn't know if we were or we weren't. I mean, what does death only happen when it's permanent? Like when us humans now are considered dead, it's permanent until the zombie apocalypse hits. But you know what I mean? Like, there's no difference in being dead versus being unconscious due to anesthesia as far as our own internal mind goes. Either way, it's not functioning. Like it's, obviously you have brain waves. If they had you on an EEG, you would have brain function when you're under anesthesia, whereas when you're dead, you don't. That's the big difference from a scientific perspective. But from just a personal perspective, when the lights are out, they're out. Anesthesia or death, it's the same. When you're out, you don't know. Like you're there, but you're not. And so I don't even know where I'm going with this at this point. This is getting ridiculous here. I don't even know how the hell we got onto all of this. But this is the kind of garbage that I waste my time pondering on a road trip somewhere. Like I'll have the radio on, but I'll be lost in thought thinking about crap like this for hours. Like I'm one of them weirdos. I could just sit, and some people can't sit still. Like they got to be moving, they got to be doing something. Me, you give me something like this to think about, and I can sit there and just stare at the wall for an hour or two and just ponder on crap like this and never get anywhere with it. I still don't have a clue. I don't have a clue what happens when we die. I don't have a clue what really constitutes death other than what we're told as far as heartbeat goes. And I have no idea if there's aliens or stuff under the sea, man. I don't know. I just know, I know this. Whatever is or is not waiting on the other side for us, I ain't trying to get there. And all these religious people that want to, and again, if you like a certain type of religion, like, more power to you. You know, whatever gets you through life, man, I'm all for it. Religion, there's a lot of good that comes with religion, whether it's faith to get you through, the community aspect of it. Lots of good comes, there's a lot of bad comes from religion too. It's been used to control people for centuries. But there's a lot of good that comes from it too. But here's my thing with it. All of these religions that have this promise of eternal life. Heaven's roads are paved with gold. See all of your loved ones that you miss. Why ain't people lining up to drink the Kool-Aid and get there a little quicker? You know what I mean? Like, if the afterlife's so much better than the present life, why are people trying to live so damn long? I just, I don't understand. I never have understood that. There's things I'd like to elaborate on with that, but I fear I would get myself dinged. Because I would take it to the wrong level. So I probably shouldn't go down that rabbit hole. But I would for sure get myself in some demonetization issues with YouTube if I really start touching on that, where I was going to go with it next. But anyway, I think I started this by talking about the guy writing the essay that he didn't like me just putting the carp in the cooler without trying to kill them first. He sent me way off in the bushes, man. But either way, hopefully we answered him and anybody else as to why I'm not going to beat a carp over the head before I put it in the cooler. And, hopefully they understand. We got way off though, didn't we? I don't know how this stuff happens. I swear I don't. It does though. Hey, is there a fish on this line over here? I think that maybe is the wind. Y'all, I'm about to set the hook here on possibly nothing. Okay, we got something. Is it possible we're going to have our first turtle of the day? I kept feeling something. I think we're about to lose our reel handle. Tighten that down. Well, that's all we need. I think we might be about to get Ninja Turtle here. I jerked his jaw good though, didn't I? If it's a snapping turtle, y'all dealing with it. Yeah, it is a turtle. Let's get him over here and see what he is, see if I want to bring him in or not. What are we dealing with here? He's got, yeah, I think that's a little slider. Either way, he's a smaller turtle. If he is a snapper, he's at least a smaller one, so maybe he'll bite a fingernail off and not the whole finger. Come here, you old thing, you need to take a bath. We caught another turtle here a few weeks ago that needed a bath. His shell was dirty as all get out too. Where's that hook at? Here, first things first, I gotta get y'all out the way. Y'all sit up here in the front seat a minute, would you? I can't look over that camera and see what I need to see down my chest here to get this dang hook out of him. I think we're gonna be able to get it because the corn's on the outside of the mouth, which tells me that the hook can't be very deep down in there. If he had opened up his mouth, y'all just admire my hat a minute while I deal with this turtle. Kayak Catfish hat available at catfishsumo.com. Code word kayak, save you 10% off your orders. There's Daniel's plug for the day. Yeah, I'm gonna get this hook out of him. He's gonna be okay. I just gotta get hold of it. If he'd open up, we'd done have it. There we go. Didn't even bend my hook. How about that, folks? That's talent. All right, turtle. You need to take a bath today. I've busted his lip though. He'll never forgive me. Poke your head out there and say hi to these people, would you? Tell them hit the like and subscribe. This turtle, he thinks he was going on a fishing trip today too. He had no idea the topics we were going to talk about today. There's somebody's hollering over here beside us. There he goes. Now he's popping his head out to say hi. You're hissing at me. He's trying his best to claw me too. He's got some claws on him. Go on then, turtle, go on. He's had a rough day. That turtle, he's had an experience today. He'll think twice about eating a dead worm next time, won't he? Old turtle. I like turtles. I hate hooking them like that, but it does make me feel a little better when I'm able to get one undone. Thankfully, he had got that hook pretty shallow in the mouth. I think I'm gonna cast this out one more time. It's time to rebait the other ones, but I don't think I'm going to because it's hot. I am directly in the sun now. There's no shade. It's up over the trees, so it's that point in the day where fishing's about to be a lot less fun. And our bite, it does seem like it's slacked off a little bit. I felt like I got through quite a bit of that story uninterrupted. If a fish had come along, I might not have been able to get so far into the weeds. Yeah, I can find some more worms in here. We dig down deep enough, well, we might find one still alive in this tub. Dead worms, got it done today. Soybean meal, not impressed. Lime jello, who knows? That went part of the pack bait. One thing about though, I will say this on behalf of the soybean meal. Our quality today has been above average. You know what I mean? Like, it took a while to get going. We've not caught a ton of fish, but the quality has been pretty good today. I mean, really good today, I feel like. Above average, for sure. Not on the tomatoes. Can't buy a fish on the tomato. But the 2 worm rods, really good. You know what I may have to do? It seems like I did this on one of the early on raw and uncut, unedited videos. I didn't edit it, but I took a clip from a big fish and I put it at the beginning and then started the video. So people kind of had like a teaser of what was to come. Maybe I should do that for today, since we did have such a long wait for the first bite. Well, the first carp bite. We had that channel cat early, but that don't count. Still can't get a buffalo. Skunked for 2 trips now on the damn soybean meal for buffalo, which is the whole reason in starting to try the soybean meal was because I was supposed to get more buffalo. Funny how that's worked out. And I don't know if there's been any buffalo here today or not. Who the hell knows? But either way, it's been a good day. I'm going to go home happy today. Wish we could have caught more, but I always wish that. But I've had fun. I may or may not put a fish in the beginning of the video though, just to kind of tease what's coming since we had that long break there to begin with. It'll take a little bit more time behind the computer, but it won't take that long. The overall consensus though, and I polled y'all, I not only did the poll asking you all to tell me what you wanted, but I did it both ways. I've done videos like today where as soon as I'm casting baits out, that camera's on. Like I come in here this morning, I anchored myself down here with my power poles, whatever, and got my rod set up and then turned the camera on, and y'all been here with me from the get-go. I've done it the other way, where I come in, I set up, I wait until I either start seeing fish out in front of me, like so I know they're there again, or until the rod went down with the first fish, and then start. When I polled and on the videos, when I had polled before, people said, we want to see it from the start. When I did the videos where I waited until I had either seen fish or until a rod went down, again, people comment on those videos saying they wanted me to film from the start. So that seems to be the overall consensus. Now, is that just the vocal minority? And maybe that's not representative of what people want? I don't know. But comparing the watch time on both styles of those videos, it's comparable. So people are watching either way. It's not like people are saying they want me to just film from the start and then fast forwarding through that first 30 minutes to an hour until we get bit. Like that's just not the case. I mean, obviously some people are going to fast forward. That's how they are. But for the most part, the people that like being my fishing buddy out here for these type of videos, you're here with me regardless if we're getting bit or not. I think some of you just like getting off in the weeds with me of these crazy conversations that we have, just philosophical life stuff and the stories that I somehow find myself a part of. Some of the messes I get myself into, I don't even know how I do it. We ain't got time today because I'm getting ready to get out of here. But one of these trips here in the future, I'm going to tell you a story about some women. Some of you fellas that watch these videos with your wives and girlfriends, they may not want to watch the next video or whenever we get on it. Whenever I remember to tell you, I'm going to piss some women off. I'm just teasing it right now because that's going to be another 20-minute plus 30-minute story probably on that one. We're going to go into some depth on this, on what these women are doing. It's crazy. But that's coming though. I got it because I've thought about it before and I meant to talk about it. And then it's an ex-girlfriend. I didn't see her in real life, but I saw her on social media. First time I'd seen her in years. And I saw she's fallen into this group of women doing this, and so we're going to elaborate on it. That's all. I just think I'm about to get out of here in a minute, y'all. It's so damn hot right now. Thankfully the wind. There's a light breeze blowing, making it somewhat tolerable, but it's hot and it's humid. I guess all that fog and the rain we had it's just humid. It's just sticky, and we've reached that point in the day where the fish really got to be biting good to get me to want to stick around much longer. I should have got out here a little earlier probably, but the fog as thick as it was and whatnot, and it didn't affect us none. Hell, our bites come after the sun has already burnt the fog off anyway. I got some stuff to do this afternoon. Go home, eat some lunch, and go visit the parentals. I need to mow again, but probably won't do that today. Put that crap off. Although I do love my mower. I got a new mower last year. I got it when did I get it? September, October last year. So it's been almost a year. Well, we're August now, so almost a year. And I love it. It's a 0-turn. It's a Skag Patriot model, 52-inch. I had been using a John Deere riding mower prior to that Skag, and cutting, I got 4 acres property. I mow about 3 of it. So it would take me 3 hours to mow with that John Deere riding mower. Man, this Skag 0-turn takes me a little over an hour, hour and a half to mow. And I can zip up and down through that yard, man. The only downside of the 0-turn is you get dust all over you. Like, I got to wear a dust mask, and you get dust all in your ears and everything. Like, it's all over you on a 0-turn. Whereas a ride mower, you get dirty, but not like that. But man, I love that mower. Like, it was expensive. I bought it last year in the fall just because it was on sale. They had marked it down, so I saved a little money. It's an expensive mower. But my John Deere, it had it, man. I had that John Deere, I think, for right at about 10 years. I think I got it in 2013 or 2014. And I had replaced just about everything on it because my yard's rough. Like, it'll beat you to death. And those riding mowers just ain't built for that kind of bouncing around, the bumps, you know, the holes. It just ain't built for it. It ain't built to last for that kind of thing. It's a wonder it made it as long as it did. But the Skag, it's a commercial grade mower. The frame's more sturdy. So like it's built for commercial jobs. So for somebody just like me that's just, you know, I'm going to put, I think, and I used it last fall there to mulch my leaves and stuff, but I think right now I've only got 30-something hours on it, so in almost a year. So, I mean, I'm not putting a ton of hours on this machine. Like, it's going to last me a long time, unless something just crazy happens, which I think if there was some kind of defect in the motor or something, we would have probably already noticed by now. But I love that thing. Very expensive, very large purchase that I did have some pause about. Like, I had some reservations about spending that much, but you know what? I mean, if I'd bought another riding mower, it would still take me 3+ hours to do my yard. I would have still spent probably $3,000–4,000 on the riding mower. So, I mean, it was going to be expensive either way. I felt like I just ought to spend a little more, get me a mower that's going to do the job better. You know, when I got that John Deere years ago, 2013, 14, whenever it was, my yard wasn't as big. Like, I've expanded my yard since then. Like, I was just kind of mowing around the house at that point. All the area, for my channel members, y'all kind of see behind the scenes stuff there at my house and whatnot. All that area under the power lines used to be brush, used to be overgrown. Now it's yard. All the area behind my house used to be woods, and now it's yard. And so that John Deere was fine when I got it, but when I went from mowing a ½ acre to 3 acres, it just wasn't the best tool for the job. And this 0-turn is, and I like it. I don't really want to mow today in this heat, but I enjoy it. It's more comfortable to ride, it's fast. Like, I like it. Took a while to get to learn how to drive it. Like, there's a learning curve. When you go from a riding mower with a steering wheel to the 0-turn with the levers, like, it takes a little while. I did nail my fence at one point in time, meaning to turn right when I turned left. So it's a learning curve. It takes you a couple mows to get used. Now I can function just fine with it, but maybe if you get one, take it slow for your first couple sessions mowing there when you're around something. we're gonna finish out the video on a fish right here. Now the question is, will the battery last long enough to land him? We're in that time period where my battery's usually about dead. I'm in the red. It usually tells me it's a good time to go home. We're gonna get us one more fish here to end out the video. How awesome is that? This is the perfect sign that it's time to go. Because I was getting ready to leave anyway. He's coming right at me, man. This fish, he is swimming right at me. Like I can't, there he is. I couldn't hardly, every time I'd catch up with him, I'd have to reel harder. Now he's turning around the other way. We needed a good drag burner here to close it out, buddy. This is just what we needed. This is just, you all may not see it. If he takes too long, y'all may not see it before the battery dies. And if that happens, I'm sorry. I'll try to do better on the next one. We'll try to get a fish to bite quicker on the next one. That's happened in a few of these videos where I'm like up against the clock with the battery about to die and a fish hits. But this battery pack and battery lasts about 4 hours, and that's perfect because that's about how long I want to fish on most days. He come right in the net. This fish, he must be sensitive to the fact that we're about to run out of battery, and he said, you know what, Justin, I'm going to help you out and just swim right in that net. You're a pretty good fish, you know it. I don't care what they say about you. A lot of people talk bad about carp, but I don't think they meant to talk bad about this one because he takes people's feelings and needs into consideration. You ain't big enough for front camera time though, fish. One of the smaller ones today. One of the smaller fish, but one of the hardest fighting ones. He just kept pulling on. Nice, y'all. All right, well, hey, you know what? I think that's a good way to wrap up this trip. End it on a fish, end it on a high note. Again, I'm going home happy today. I mean, I wish we could have got bit more, and especially early on in the trip. Like, I'm impatient. I go carp fishing, I go ultralight fishing. I want to get bit, and I want to get bit now. I don't want to wait an hour. We had to wait a while today, but I mean, we got some quality. We got several fish, one turtle, no buffalo. But I'm going home happy. Still not really liking the soybean meal. Work in progress on that. Hopefully I can get the mixture better, make it pack a little more. But we'll get it dialed in. Give me a few trips. We'll get better with it. So anyway, y'all, thanks for coming with me today. Next video, probably a catfish video. I'm going to go out and try to get bait tomorrow, make a bait run. But I think I'm just going to take a day and catch some bait, listen to some Jim Cornette stories, and we'll pick the next one up on a catfish trip. So. Anyway, y'all, thanks for coming with me today and listening to me go off in the weeds on some crazy stories. I'll see you next time.